have to be the ghetto version of anything.
to
No,
you.
no, no.
We're done. We're already recording. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hip hop turned 50 this week. Hello.
We are here. We made it.
We have like a very big show. This is like probably our biggest production since the Golden Nugget special. So we have a lot of guest appearances. We have Shaw Calhoun will be showing up. Ozzy, the Oh Boy. Isaac, who is going to be doing ad libs on this episode. Don't do this.
It is Quavo's album coming out, so I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm going to just turn that off. I'm just going to make sure that's just that. So,
Jesus Christ. I can't believe we've done this. Have we moved to this part of our show?
I hate this so much.
You don't like being a morning radio show on AM radio? Like, come on, guys.
You leveled up.
Honestly. I get it.
I'm staring down barrel of a gun. Anyway.
Staring down the barrel of a gun. Should we jump into the news?
Let's jump into the news because we have a bunch of stuff. There's going to be guest appearances. We have a lot of news. It's great.
A lot going on.
I'm going to start this off because this one's kind of near and dear to my heart with one of the first album releases. So there's a couple big ones, but what I wanted to bring up is a local group in Chicago, the Sunflower Collective, is dropping their debut project, Sheboygan. One of the artists I've mentioned on the show before, Devin, the producer, Joe J Beats, he's actually my roommate. He lives behind the screen where I'm recording this. And, I've just been able to get like a little bit of an inside look into the process behind it. I've been able to see their rollout. Like they shot videos here. They have a fun little rollout. They're doing days before Sheboygan. They're doing a series of skits that they're putting out in their social. That's really fun and like really high spirited. I'm really excited for this project. It's more in the experimental hip hop phase, but that's what people do in their early 20s, So I'm excited for it. I'm hoping to bring them onto the show soon. Have a conversation about
his music.
Yeah, so Sheboygan, Sunflower Collective, be on the lookout. Like, this is gonna be cool.
Excellent. I'm excited to bring them on. I've been waiting to meet them just in person.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Devin might be on this episode if he gets me the thing in time. You'll know if he does by now, but whatever.
You'll know when you.
but yeah, no. So, that's gonna be the album I listen to tomorrow. The Sheboygan.
Bet for sure. I'll have to check it out. Coming out with some other things, then some other albums coming out. The long anticipated Quavo album,
Rocket Power.
Here, Rocket Power. Sounds like a huge.
This is a big. This is. Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested. I normally would not be interested in a Quavo album. I like the Migos as much as the next guy, but it's just not my thing, really.
We'll never get another Migos. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, but he did the song he did, the tribute to Takeoff.
It was very touching.
It was very touching. I was blown away by just the substance there. So this is absolutely something I will be listening to. Who knows if I listen to it multiple times? Who knows if this is like something I really love at the end of the year? But there is absolutely no chance I don't listen to this weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been trying to keep up with like the news that's been coming out. I saw him come make a couple posts and stuff. Still no feature list. I don't know if there will be features. I'm assuming so.
Yeah, there's no way there's no features.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Most wanted feature, Offset.
Yeah,
Offset.
Definitely. I thought there was one. Didn't they release a song together?
They did perform a song together at some show.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was a whole controversy there.
Yeah.
Family is everything. Moving on, we also have Mick Jenkins coming out with The Patience.
I've been listening to Mick Jenkins just randomly over the last month. I've been listening to more and more Mick Jenkins. So this is well timed for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, another local legend.
Yeah, I was gonna say low key, we might see him in a couple of days.
Yeah. My God.
What we're kind of teasing, we're gonna see the chance.
Yeah, we're gonna be at Acid Rap. So is most people in the city.
Let's be honest. Did we expect anything else?
I'm pretty sure we talked about it. Everyone knows it's gonna happen. Like
exactly. I would burn down the building before I let that happen without me.
Yeah, dude, no way.
But yeah, we're super excited for that this week. We also have a couple singles coming out. Little Uzi is already back. He's been teasing Barter 16,
Yeah.
a follow up, or not a follow up, but a collab album with Young Thug.
I thought it
But
was like
what we
inspired by Young Thug.
both.
I don't know.
I think
I
it's
thought it
both.
was a meme. I thought he was just trolling people.
He was naked in like the photo, so
Yeah.
a lot
Well,
of
that
people
was
just kinda-
a play. That was the play on the Young Thug cover.
yeah. But I mean, he is coming out with a single. Tonight he will be dropping a song called Blood Moon that is produced by Mike Will Made It and also co-produced by J. Cole.
That's an interesting comment.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for that. Yeah, a song,
Yeah.
100%. I'm there.
Absolutely. I can get to that.
Yeah.
I will refuse to get through another whatever album that was called. The most recent one. We also have another single coming out, Little Tucker and Kodak Black, the most bizarre pairing I've ever heard it in my life.
Yeah, I'm good. Like,
I don't feel like this is that out of place. I think
Yeah.
that they could make something interesting.
yeah.
I mean, I'll listen to it. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Oh, I think they're
Just
gonna
would've
make
never
something
put them together.
that makes sense for them to make. But like,
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm actually super unfamiliar with Lil Tecca, so I have no idea. Like,
I mean, he's just one of the young cats. He came and gone and kind of came back a little bit.
yeah,
I feel like he's one of the smarter ones. He was super nerdy. If you don't recognize the face, it's the Genius video where like he says a line in the song and then it cuts to him like
I was lying about that.
narrating it. And he
Yeah.
was like, I didn't do that. This is like, I have
Yeah,
10
okay.
girls. I don't have any girls.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
I
I
know
have
that
5
video.
cars. I don't know how to drive. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
People also think he looks like Sid the Sloth from Ice Age. So
That's
they make
funny.
memes where it's like him photoshopped with like the hair, like Sid the Sloth with the hair, and it's like I got black, white, what you want, and Sid the Sloth.
They're fine. No, don't do that to
that's so
him.
funny.
Have you not seen these? They're so
I-
funny.
I have seen them. I was trying to spare him.
Yeah,
But anyway, yes. We have that pairing come together. No idea what to expect. I'll at least check it out.
yeah,
Jasper, the album of the year for you is coming out.
yeah.
Is it now?
Well, your second album of the year is coming out.
Is it now?
How do you feel about this album cover?
I like it.
Kid Cudi's insane.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a little
Say no album
abstract,
cover.
colorful thing, and I'm sure it's gonna be one of multiple. It's based on like just what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like multiple covers for this.
Is
Yeah,
that
I
gonna
mean,
be
I
the new trend?
I
Multiple
could see it.
album
Yeah,
That's been done
Mhm.
both before though. Like,
yeah,
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy CD had like a thing you
Oh,
would
that's
pull
fair.
out.
yeah. George Condo. There were like 4 or 8 or something total paintings or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I'm looking at his Instagram. It says album art. It doesn't say album cover. So you're right. It could be something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think
And
it looks good, but it's very abstract and it's hard to have like strong opinions
Sure.
about an abstract album cover. Like I don't hate it. Like I certainly am not over here like this is ass. But I'm also
Yeah.
like, this is cool. Like I hope when I
So-
listen to the album, like I look at the cover and I'm like, oh. Like
So what does if you had to pick like something that the cover looks like based on the image, what would you say that it really looks like?
like a
Based off this image,
Yeah.
let me pull it back up.
I was gonna say, Brandon, do you see it?
No.
I mean, honestly, and this is like the first time actually looking. I saw it earlier, but like
Oh yeah.
diving into it, like you're asking me to. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about like the Grand Canyon. There's gonna be some kind of valley or something.
Yeah.
That's
I feel the
only
same way.
thing I can think of,
It looks like an earthquake, like a cartoon earthquake.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insano. So
Yeah.
he's
I
gonna-
mean, like
gonna
I don't.
shake the earth.
That's the thing. Like I don't think it's like particularly insane or eccentric or weird either. Like
No.
I don't think it's like
No.
off the wall. I think it reminds me of like, oh, this could have been the Arctic Monkeys' second album. Like, you
Mhm.
know, it's I'm
It reminds me of MGMT.
not I guess.
Their Congratulations album is kind of
Uh,
has like a wild cover.
I don't
Yeah.
know MGMT enough.
Yeah. It's just like I don't know. Like I'm having trouble feeling strong opinions about it backwards or forwards, you know.
True.
I get that.
Purvis, are you
Yeah.
okay?
Very early conversation. I was replugging my Ethernet for a strong connection. I wasn't leaving. Sorry.
Okay.
But no, I honestly I don't know about MGMT to be honest
Yeah.
that much.
No,
But
I
at
gotta
least
keep it
what
real.
do
I
like
know which one you're talking about. I think that's a stretch.
MGMT.
I just mean the color choices. The color choices are like
yeah,
the
it's
thing
like
for
big,
me that...
they're similar in terms of that they're high saturation, but like, yeah, this is kind of like
It
a
sounds
flat
like that's what's
piece.
going to be the project is. I mean, to be honest,
Yeah,
it's going to be very colorful.
yeah. Like
That's
once
what
again, I hope like I look at the cover when I'm done listening to the project and like, oh, like, you know, the product, like, God, gotta stop referencing this album. It's like the Turnstile Glow On album. It's like after you listen to that album, you look at the cover and it's like, oh yeah, because it is kind of dreamy. You know, it's like, you know. So I hope I look back at the cover and I'm like, oh, it does kind of make sense.
We have a problem.
What?
There's someone in the replies to Cuddy's tweet today with the image named Jasper, who pays for Twitter Blue or X Blue or whatever you want to call it now.
We found your second account.
who is unironically asking, is Ye on the album? To which someone says, what do you think? To which this other Jasper says, I think this is secretly Kids See Ghosts too. To that I say, shut up.
Yeah.
Dude, shut your poor mouth.
Don't do that to me.
It's over.
Dude,
enjoy the good thing while it lasts.
Dude, if I had like 3 wishes right now, I would wish
it would be
for like an end to capitalism and then Kids See Ghosts too.
In that order.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess like world peace.
Do we really believe in that?
I'm gonna stop right here. Like I'm just gonna. I have something I'm gonna say. We're just gonna back out.
You're gonna hate it when Raytheon becomes our title sponsor for this fucking show.
We're not taking Raytheon money. I'll do this for free. We're not called the Unpaid Nobodies for a reason. Goddammit. Like,
all right, I guess so. Well, that's all the news. Let's move on.
I know it's a nebulous question, but I feel like everyone who is so far deep that they're making and creating a hip hop podcast, they probably have a feeling or two about that. You know, what hip hop means to them. What is like the big hip hop moments, like how hip hop has been a part of their lives. So I wanted to just hear your piece on that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I think it's impossible to not include hip hop in my everyday life. Like it's the soundtrack to my life. I mean, some R&B, but mostly just rap and you know what I'm saying, hip hop.
The day-to-day, the bread and butter.
Every stages of my life when I yeah, of course, you know what I'm saying, when I was a preteen, when I was a teenager, and even now as a grown ass man, you know what I'm saying, and even different forms like being an adult, like you know that 20s, then that 25, then you know that 30, then 33. You know what I'm saying? Like rap has been like a part of my life. So
yeah, dude. And it changes.
That's all the time. Like people gotta forget. Yeah. I mean, people don't really understand how privileged they are. You know what I'm saying? To have access of rap that you can get your hands onto. You got to remember before internet times. I mean, rap like on MTV for an example. Like you know, late at night they'll show videos and whatnot. So you had to like it wasn't like a block of video. It was like okay, this is like the hip hop hour, and it wasn't the rock hour. It was like all large and some. So you had to sit through like Red Hot Chili Peppers, No Doubt, you know what I mean, Meatloaf, just to get to like to a rap video. You know what I mean? Like my younger days was more our experience is more through videos, you know, because my folks didn't trust me with the CDs and the disc or whatnot.
Me too. Because like I don't know how old you are, but like I was like 15 when like YouTube started coming around, and it was just like it was free, so it was like you know you just go on, you can watch the videos. And yeah, like I definitely remember like, you know, watching MTV because like I'm old enough to have seen the death of MTV, and it's like,
you and me both, yeah,
and it's like,
it died before we know it, before we even pay attention to it. You know, oh shit, it is dead.
Before hip hop was even really like completely and totally in the mainstream, or at least in that sense. You know, and like I think like something you said that I think is interesting is like you had to listen to all this other kind of music. And I think the thing about hip hop is that like you got to be a fan of all kinds of music, like not only to like just find it, but like especially like someone in your position who's like creating it, like you got to be able to pull from like all different kinds of genres, you know, some more than others,
all different kinds.
But like you know, you got to be able to have that open mind, you know. You can,
Mhm.
you can be in a punk group and like just listen to punk, but like you can't really be make hip hop and like just listen to hip hop. You got to do the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because you got to figure out where you can get your ideas from and what motions to draw from, or look for motivation just in itself. So you have to like study and go off the different genres and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that way when you come back to rap, so you're nice and fresh and well experienced and well rounded. So
Bringing those
you can't
lessons
go
back.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And so like in your time, like because we're all young enough that like hip hop has been around our entire lives. What have been like some of the most special moments to you that like where the genre? I assume for you it's got to be like releasing your own music.
Releasing my own music at that, but like I'm thinking about like overall, like when I was a fan, and like the things that I used to get a kick out of was like seeing cameos from different rappers.
Dude, yeah, that's like because that's the thing. That's like one of the things that like you just don't see in other genres.
Yeah, yeah, and like you just seeing like for example, I mean, of course you're gonna see AZ and Nas video and vice versa, but like like okay, like with Wu, when they was breaking down with the solo shit, I still thought it was just Wu Tang as a group
Yeah,
until like I saw like what was it, the Ghostface joint, Tail of Ghost.
yeah,
So I'm like, and it just his name on it. I'm like, oh shit, damn, we going solo. But I saw Spectre Deck in it, so I'm like, oh okay, all right, niggas is cool.
yeah, yeah. Those guys.
that's how
Yeah,
that's how I used to like look at it. Like, okay,
yeah. It's like a comic book. It's like RZA always called it like the Avengers of hip hop, and that really is what it is because it's like just like spotting everything and like yeah, like
yeah,
those features and like those cameos and like the crossover element is like huge because like it just leads to like this natural discovery. Like I remember
right,
like being like, oh, I love Kanye. Like Kanye was like the first rapper I really fell in love with, and uh, I hear this was after it came out, but I hear Late Registration. What's the song? Touch the Sky, and it's like, who's this Lupe guy? And it's like, oh shit! Like I've discovered this entire other artist who, like, at time of recording, I like much more. Like
right,
so,
right, right.
so it's like the discovery aspect of it is insane, and it just leads to like
Yeah, and well that. I'm sorry, my bad to cut you off, but that was like a little bit more of a given. Like what I was talking about was like the unknown. You know what I mean? Like for example, Outkast video, DLC is in that video,
yeah, yeah.
or
I'm
like yeah, or back to Wu Tang. Can it be so simple? MC8 was in that video. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it,
and
it, it's
that
like tight seeing those type of cameos.
yeah, and like that stuff that even happens in the modern day. Like I remember there was the Kid Cudi video from like back in the day, Pursuit of Happiness, and like Drake walks in at the end, and it's like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
I remember that one. Yeah,
yeah, or like
yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, and like yeah, like it's just like finding all the like visually being able to see that, and like it reinforces that it's a community. Like these guys, like they work together, like they're in the same spaces, It's like yeah, I know now there's kind of like a culture of emailing verses, but like that wasn't the way it always is, or even is today, right? Like
Right,
you know.
right.
So do you have like any final thoughts on like the culture, the sound, the music, anything that like you just want to invoke on the listeners?
Uh, it's a two answer. I kind of like where it's going. I kind of not like where it's going. You know what I mean? I still
Yeah,
don't think it's. I still think the overall rap as a whole is still imbalanced. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be more balanced.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Just not. I wouldn't say like mainstream wise, but just period. So where everybody. I think if it be more balanced, everybody be cool because you can go. You can go to get what you want. You know what I mean?
yeah. Especially in the digital age.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then it should be like as far as the fans, it should be like more respected. Like, okay, my guy over here, he likes Lil Baby. That's his thing. Let him rock out. This dude over here likes 38 Special. Let him, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no judgment and no shit like that. You know what I mean? That still goes on. And with that judgment, that kind of hinders or affect like the future rapper's perspective because it's like, oh shit, I want to make what I want to make, but what if the people not liking it because I'm not dedicated to this certain sound? You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to feel like that as a creator.
That's interesting because like the other We had Oh Boy, he's a Chicago producer and rapper. He's like contributing to this too. He said the same thing, like, have an open mind, like look around, like don't judge, like love everything. And I think like that really should be like I hope in the next 50 years of hip hop, like we get past like this like gatekeepy, like tribal kind of like thing where it's like, yeah, man, sometimes I like listening to Black Thought and like sometimes I like listening to Chief Keef, and that's okay. And like sometimes they're on the same playlist. Like
Yeah, I mean, they just the two they kind of create or get their juices flowing two different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Should judge and criticize for that. You know what I mean? At all. But also, like, on that Chief level, just have a little bit more responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, you're not a rock star.
I get that. I definitely agree with that 100%. Like, if you're going to be elevated, you got to be responsible.
Be a little bit more professional. You know, so they tell you not to have fun and whatnot, but like be a little bit more professional.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then like you all the way back to the Panthers. You go all the way back to the Panthers. Like Philly got locked up like once, so when they had the whole free human movement and whatnot, just then the third. It wasn't like he was repeating going back to that every single time. You know what I mean? Because it's like, how many T-shirts can you make, or how many times can you say person every single time? And I think that's kind of like overlooked now in today's situation or society. And I think if we can stop doing like rewarding that, I think that will like make the artist itself smart and not be like, damn, I'm not gonna make these same decisions and put myself back.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, for money or fans or be able to put more creatives out. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to sound like over time for that, but it's like, like how many times you gonna keep saying free a person? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel that.
I mean, he's not like these people are not like an average Joe. You know what I'm saying? They have like a nice situation going. You know what I mean? You can't continue to keep rewarding people who are making not wise decisions.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Yes, big thing. Hip hop turned 50. I thought it was a big deal. So you just saw one of our friends, come in and kind of say their piece about like what hip hop means to them. And that was kind of just like the concept for this video. I thought we can kind of like look back, like reflect on like the genre and the culture and just, kind of cozy cast it, just kind of talk big. Like I think like our best episodes are when we zoom out and we talk like at a very high level about something, whether that's an artist or a trend or something. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to not only bring back all of our best guests, but also to do that for the entire genre. And then we got served a TikTok. We're going to credit the creator in the description, where she dropped a flawless 5-song intro pack into the genre. I immediately sent it to Purvis because Jasper doesn't have a TikTok. And which I applaud you for. Like,
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at you.
When you think about it, we all kind of check and balance each other because we all have Discord, we all have Instagram. You don't have Twitter. No, I don't have TikTok. So it's like there's like a little equilibrium.
Yeah. Then Purvis has everything.
I do have everything.
No.
I'm a sucker.
Yeah. So we decided to do that.
Do you remember the 5 songs? Should we go over them?
Well, we'll go over that. We'll credit the creator and we'll go over it when we do when we get to that. But first, like, why don't we all start? Like, just what does hip hop mean to you, Purvis? You're kind of the face of the show. You're kind of like you're the ringleader a little bit.
I am the 34%. Whenever we get an LLC, we'll put
you're
it under a black name.
You're getting 51. Like,
you know what I feel like it's like? I feel like Purvis is the show host, like he's the Maury of this. And then
you just go back and forth.
Brandon, you and I are the correspondents who come on and like get way too loud about stupid shit, and then Purvis comes back in and asks another question, and it just comes right back out again.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, guys, let's get it together.
Sometimes I feel like I'm Larry David and he's Jerry Seinfeld. Like,
what does that make me, George?
Kramer, like
I'll settle for Kramer. Well, no, I don't know. I'll settle for Kramer pre-2006.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
You are definitely Kramer.
DMZ, where you at?
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
So-
what a quick way we derail.
Yeah. That's fine.
but I mean-
This is a birthday party.
It's a birthday party, right?
Yeah. When Kramer was cool. How about that?
But to get back on topic,
Yeah,
yes, what
like-
hip hop means to me.
Well, I'll do round robin. Go say your piece.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of the interviews that we're going to be bringing up in the podcast on this episode, it gets real deep. I mean, it's and like I relate to each one of them. I feel like hip hop has advanced so much far past just like a pastime or something that's entertainment. The music means so much more. It combines with the culture of everything that I know. It combines the community with everyone that I know. Just like sharing music with other people is like becomes a whole characteristic, and like it gets it honestly it gets deep, and it's the whole reason. I mean, to be honest, why I know you guys. It brought us together, podcast, and ever since then, you treat it as almost like therapy. Just like the music, you relate to it. It expands to how you think about things. Just in general, I feel like it means a lot to me. It's extremely important, and I feel like I don't really give it its flowers all the time.
Yeah,
But that's just me personally.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a culture we all move through. You know, like and really it's kind of the predominant one in American culture today. You know, the culture of a nation is a quilt of a lot of different things. And you know, like hip hop's place among everything else has just only grown. And you know, now it's like
pop music
now you go listen to pop music and they all have trap drums. You know,
literally,
even like whispery bedroom pop stuff. So it's like,
thanks to Metro Boomin.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, no other genres of music have dominated. You know, like there have been other genres, like, you know, rock music, like in the 80s. You know, in the 60s, 70s, like it was like the biggest thing in the world, but like it didn't evolve as fast as hip hop did. And the other thing is that like it's not as cultural. You know, I think even post Drake, like I think hip hop has done a better job of like avoiding commodification than other genres. You know, I still think like it's falling for it a little bit, and maybe more than a little bit. But I think it's certainly faring better than pop music ever did. I think it's faring better than rock music ever did. Like, you know, rock music was 25 years old when it lost its soul, you know, and it got it back a few times, but like,
I mean, I think that's completely fair what you're saying.
Yeah.
Even with hip hop now, it's so intertwined with culture. With it being the main category for pop music, because like you're saying, even pop music is considered to be hip hop. That's what we're following. It's our culture now. What they talk about in the music, what they express, what the artist wants to share with the world, it's how we kind of function and move around. And like, it's past the, like, obviously we'll joke around and we'll send each other lyrics from like, oh, this is how I feel going to my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But like, it's so much more advanced. It's so much more past that. It's in our social medias. It's in our friend groups. It's all that we really.
It's how you make friends, you know, like, and like this is
the way to make friends.
Yeah, easiest way to make friends is to be like, "Yo, did you listen to that Travis Scott album?" Like, it's just like
that's true. Yeah, honestly is.
All right, why don't we pass the bong to Jasper? Jasper
wouldn't dare.
You two already put it so nicely. I don't think I can really add to that. So all I really have to say in addition is sig bars, fast cars.
Yeah,
I honestly respect that.
Yeah,
I mean, you laid it all out, so you know.
No, that is true.
Yeah, no.
I mean, and even saying sig bars, fast cars, like the lyrics just go so much past that. It's lyrics that you can actually relate to real life. I feel like
a lot more often. Yeah, like don't get me wrong. There's plenty of like hip hop that's like, you know, out of this world, over the top. You know,
I don't
like,
kill people.
I don't think anyone. Yeah. But like, you know, I listened to an Iron Maiden album and it's like, and I rode my horse across the plains and it's like not me.
I didn't do that.
You know, not me. It's like I never made a deal with the devil. Like I live in Chicago, like what Common says. You
What I
know,
would give to hear Jid on like as the frontman on an Iron Maiden record.
I would
Oh,
do.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
dude, Jid could go into rock 100%. I believe Jid
Oh,
yeah.
better.
And he would
Jid better?
Yeah,
get better.
yeah,
We haven't
Jid
said it in a
better.
while. I have
Dude,
to say
Jid
it.
better.
Jid better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing to me, like one of the things that have made it so special to me is that like I'm a fairly creative person. I got like my hands in a lot of things. You know, I do a lot of stuff. I make a lot of things. But I'm not very musically inclined. Right? Like whether, you know, you just are and like you just internalize it, like music is very mathematical and my brain just doesn't fit like that. Right? So like music is something that like I try to like do for like a decade. Like I played saxophone, guitar, bands, all that stuff. But like, you know, I just found like my heart wasn't in it and there were other creative endeavors I love more. And you know, there's something special about music because like when I sit down and I watch a movie, you know, part of my brain is always going, you know, how can I use this to make my movie? You know, when I sit down and read a book, I'm like, how can I use this to help my book? When I, you know, watch TV shows, you know, read anything, you know, how can this help my writing? But there's a certain kind of escape because like I'm not only am I never going to make music, I'm certainly never going to make hip hop. Like, because like it just would feel very authentic, like inauthentic for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I will do 77 episodes of a hip hop podcast. That sounds fine. Like
That's within your circle.
yeah, that's within my. That's what I can do. So like that kind of like freedom to just like be a fan and like be a part, like watch it and like be a part of it, like without like that expectation of creation for me personally, because like that's just kind of the person I am. Like that has always been like a safe haven for me. A place where I can go to just consume and think and like, you know, think critically about like how it works and all that stuff. But like I never have to worry about like, you know, what am I cooking up and stuff like that.
I mean, that's extremely valid. Even comparing it to other forms of art. My brother said it wasn't picked up on the mic, but like things like this, it's considered a gift. It literally is a gift
Yeah,
that
it's a
you
gift.
give to yourself into the world.
Yeah.
And so what the artists are doing out here, like,
Yeah.
you gotta appreciate it. You really do.
And like you'll hear this when Isaac does his piece on the episode, but like it's like magic. You know, like in 30 seconds, Kendrick Lamar can put any human being in the backseat of a car in Compton, California. You know what I mean? Like it's
true.
it's like it's a magic trick, and it really is like to me, I think it's the most human thing in the world, and like that's why I just love it so much. And like I love all like cultural things that much because of like all the stuff you could attach to it. But yeah, man, and it's just like I also think there's an angle of like I've always been someone who liked a lot of different genres, and I think there's just like an angle of like kind of the coolest stuff is just happening in hip hop. You know,
That is true.
like especially like ever since the pandemic, like I've been much far deeper into the rock world than I have in a long time. And like there's some great albums coming out. But like there's been one great rock album since 2020. All right? Well, two. There's been two great rock albums since 2020. As far as I'm concerned. And that's just not true for hip hop, you know, like it's, you know, there's just different styles, like there's different people like contributing, and there's seems to be like groundbreaking work dropping every year, you know. Like just when like we thought last year was crazy, you know, we got Scaring the Host Michael and Utopia this year. You know, think about that is a wider like yes, last year we had more quality albums, but like that is a wider spectrum than anything we got last year. And like look, maybe you know, you choose the more better albums, you know, because I don't know if anything's dropped this year that's as good as the Forever Story, but yeah. But
that's rare though. That was
yeah,
special.
And it wasn't even my favorite last year. You know, like you know the Denzel Curry album. Yeah, I don't think anything this year has I have felt an immediate connection to as that album. But yeah, no, and it's
this year was Michael so far. But anyway, sorry, I won't derail too quickly.
No. Do we want to talk about?
Go.
Say your piece.
I was gonna say, just building off of what you're saying there, just like how hip hop is the in thing. I mean, it's a luxury of being what's considered pop music. It's driving the culture, and like if we're being completely honest, on the podcast. America has a history of stealing black culture.
No, it always
hip
has.
hop is considered
Yeah, no, it always has.
primarily for the blacks.
Yeah, no.
But obviously we welcome everyone. We open the doors. I love plenty of non-black artists, but that's not the point that I'm getting to. It's just the fact that like our culture is what everybody wants to be now. You pick and choose certain parts of an artist that you want to relate to.
Yeah.
Travis Scott has a collab with Nike. People aren't like Travis Scott, but they own Travis Scott shoes and they will pay thousands of dollars to wear them.
Yeah.
So like it's stuff like that is just like it's so intertwined with what we do on a daily basis that people don't even realize it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, and
we'll see.
And we've always like, and white America has always stolen,
Right.
black culture.
And
I mean,
to
that was
America-
rock and roll. That was rock and roll. And it's like it's complicated now. FD Singerfire had a great thing about this because he's like, the thing about rock music that's different than hip hop is that like, yeah, as hip hop has aged, especially post Eminem, especially post Mac Miller, like white people have found like more of an avenue like within that space.
They have their
But
place.
they haven't supplanted black artists yet. Rock and roll was around for 15 years before white artists started making valid artistic, like that's the thing, right? Like FD talks about how like there was this period where like, Elvis happened and that was like white America stealing that sound.
Clearly stealing. You're
Yeah, right. Clearly
There's a
stealing
whole
it.
movie about it now.
But then you have 50 years of people who have no idea of that, grew up, internalized this, and you have 50 years of like valid artistic expression. Metallica had nothing to do with that. And like a lot of rock bands brought other marginalized identities to the forefront, like Judas Priest and gay men, but like hip hop has not been supplanted yet, like as a truly black art form. Yeah, like there's been some really notable white rappers, but like I think but like look at the playing field, like
I agree with that.
simple as. Now, maybe now is a good time for us to reflect on our show, because our show is just like about hip hop.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, like what does this podcast mean to you, Purvis? To me, it's therapy. I've always said this.
It's always been
I don't
therapy,
want to
right?
pay my therapy premiums anymore. Like I do, but I don't want to.
Right.
And just being able to like listen to the music and have my feelings, and then knowing I have somewhere to like go and talk about them. Like one of the worst parts about being like a fan of like novels and stuff is that no one fucking reads and you have no one to fucking talk to about it. Like
That is true. Yeah.
whereas like
You tried talking to me about books and I'm like, nah, B.
yeah, it's like and it's like, or even like a movie, like yeah, sure, everyone's gonna go see fucking Spider-Man, but like, if I'm like, Purvis, have you checked out Under the Silver Lake? You're gonna be like,
and I'm going to eventually check it out.
no, you're not this movie, and nor should you really. It's an advanced movie. It's the it's the Boldy James of not Boldy James. It's like it's very dense. It's like one of those movies that like I put it in the Discord, like under the prompt was like, what movie do you love? But if other people hated, you would understand. It's like it's that. It's like
it's that one.
It's a Rubik's Cube of a movie. You're like it's like a Rubik's Cube that solves itself like while you're doing it. It's like very hard.
I told you I'll give you 5 movies.
I got to. I already have a few of them.
But in terms of the question, yeah, the podcast is crazy, bro. It's funny. We bring it up every once in a while. Every couple of weeks, we'll be like, bro, we're on episode 50 something. We're on episode 60 something. It's like we're on episode 75. It's insane because I feel like there's been a couple of walls I had to get through. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, because you were very resistant to the idea of even being a creative person.
Man,
and now you've been a content creator for almost 2 years.
I was getting attacked from all angles. Like combining the whole religion aspect with my parents and not liking hip hop, the whole like business minded. It was a good freshman year to junior year, I was locked in. I would walk to school with a whole suit and tie if I could. That kind of locked in the business where I'm like, I don't really know creative field, but I'm good with numbers. And so having this as an expression of just like, or just like an outlet to like talk about stuff, it's mind blowing if I'm
And
being honest.
it helps you like with your thoughts, right? Like
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, it helps
It
you
kind
like
of crystallize everything. It strengthens it. Seeing other point of views as well is so useful, and even pushing it past the podcast, like being creative in general. Now, I don't write books and I'm like that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that deep in it, but like I feel like I've brought it into the workplace, just being more creative, seeing out other
yeah.
ways to like
Yeah.
complete things.
And it's so because like it's so like interesting because like I think I floated this idea to you a few times.
It was a few times.
Yeah, and then like I called you one day because I was still drunk from a trip in Miami, and I was I was like, we gotta do it, just because like how low friction it was. Like it really was like a very like low friction thing, and we've come a long way. You know?
Called me. I was like, bro, what the hell are you talking about? You give me a business proposition? He was so professional about it. But I was like, are you drunk? Yeah. But I mean, it obviously it worked out.
Yeah, dude, it worked out. Jasper, you're newer to the podcast. You've been around for about 6 months now.
This isn't your first podcast either.
Yeah, it's not even your first one. So tell us, like, how have you felt about being on it? Like, how does it make you feel differently about like the music you consume?
I like it. I don't know that it has really changed my consumption habits directly. I mean, it's definitely opened doors and introduced me to some new things I wouldn't have listened to on my own. But I think my listening habits have stayed very much the same. I'm still very much like, I tend to focus on one or two projects at a time, and I dive really deep. I don't tend to really like spreading myself super thin when it comes to music because I want to be able to really learn it. And I feel that's how I get the most out of it a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. But as far as like being on the podcast, I feel that it's really, it's been a great experience being able to articulate thoughts and feelings about art with people who also understand the art and maybe have a different perspective on it, but have a fundamental understanding of what it is and why it's important or significant. And that's something I was definitely missing in my day-to-day, because aside from like some other acquaintances, a lot of my close friends don't really listen to hip hop, or, you know, like my family doesn't know what the hell I do when I go to shows and stuff like that. So it's like just having that forum to be able to discuss it with people who have a certain level of knowledge and can contribute to that conversation without me just like talking at someone is a great feeling.
Yeah, because like it's a dialogue. And really like that is like kind of fundamentally like what culture is. It's like people coming together and doing things. And like what is the most fundamental thing humans can do? And it's like, besides possibly fuck, like it's communicate. Like
it's literally two things. We're here to reproduce
or kill each other. But I think this is great. Like
this is a little bit more healthy.
Yeah, this is the, you know, and it's just like, and you always hear like hip hop community, and I think like, you know, that can not always be true, because especially like the way, I don't even want to say nowadays, because like, you know, hip hop definitely was a community in the 70s and the 80s. But like even since the 90s, like when hip hop moved from like being primarily something you went out and saw live to something that was an album experience, right? Even that like removed that aspect a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, it really changed my life, because like I do have like a bit of a different thing, because like I'm a creative person. I've done a bunch of creative projects, but like something I struggle with is like what is it, like reliability, like follow through, like commitment, like, you know, doing that. Consistency, like that's a problem with me, you know. Like I've been picking, like I had a book, I'm writing a book this year, and like I'm hoping to be done by the end of the year, but like, you know, sometimes I go like a month without touching it, you know. And it's like, yeah, being able, and like having like Purvis and then Jasper like hold me accountable to like be here, and like, you know, just like implicitly, just by doing this with other people, like you are now like relying on them. Exactly. You know, like
that. Yep, I do the exact same thing for working out. I love having a workout buddy, because it keeps me going and doing it.
Yeah.
Gym partners make you go to the gym like 4 times as much
Yeah.
because I would not go otherwise.
Yeah. No, it really is like it's nice to have like community, and like we all came here from like our different perspective. Like it seems like Purvis, this was like your first like creative endeavor, and like it seems to be a pretty successful one.
At least
Yeah, Jasper has had a few in the past, and like I'm glad that you've like found a home here, and like this is
say this is your daily job. Let's be honest.
I mean, not this. This is like a lot more fun than what I do for a living. The difference is like, yeah, like a lot of the stuff we have to do for the podcast, like, is like fundamentally similar to like what I do for a living in a way that it isn't for you. Like, like when we were coming up with the logo, it's like, yeah, I've been in a million logo redesign sessions. Like caption copy is like quite literally how I put a roof over my head in 2021. Like it's what I do to a certain extent, but like there's a freeing aspect to it, because like I don't have to. This is just about a thing I like. Like I don't have to, write for a bank.
Yeah.
And it's nice, It's and like yeah, like I do like that it's like focused. I like that it's just like it's about hip hop because like it makes it easier for me. Like when things are focused, not so much like restrictive, but like there's a point. But yeah, so we got here. That's what it is. So, Purvis,
We're here to stay until further notice.
Yeah, we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. It's just too easy.
That is true.
Sometimes I forget about the show, like, and then there's zero issues doing it. Like
the amount of times someone asks me, just like, "How do you run a podcast?" It's just like you hit record.
You show up.
Yeah,
and
you
press
hit
a button.
record. And then
press a button.
you go into Adobe Audition, you hit normalize, and then you hit adaptive noise reduction, and then you hit normalize again. Like
we love this.
We make it real simple.
Yeah, like
Should we go to one of our interviews then?
Well, no. Before we cut to the next interview, I want us to talk about like what have been like the biggest moments of our life, because like hip hop is ultimately like it's a story, right? And all the story beats are like famous concert incidents, album releases, singles, music videos, right? We all have those moments that like really spoke to us. So I think like if we could just talk about a few, like no pressure. I'll even start.
I was gonna say I can't go first.
Yeah. Like it was My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It
Really?
was there was a girl I was like talking to and like I thought was cool, and I was working at Best Buy like long before you did. It was in like 2011. It was 2010 at the end.
Run?
Yeah, it was my first run there. Late 2010, maybe 3 weeks after the album came out. She was like, "Yeah, I'm listening to this album. It's so good." And then she's like, "I'm like, what album is it?" I'm like, "My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy." And like I had already known who Kanye was. I had like the three, like the trilogy. I just didn't. I did not listen to 808s and Heartbreaks just because like I just wasn't there for it. And then she was like, "Yeah, like this album's incredible." So I bought it right then and there. And then like I was locked in.
Since then.
Since then.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough. Honestly, and like.
And go ahead, let your recency bias show.
It's gonna be obvious, but for me, it wasn't the first time that like I got into hip hop at all. It wasn't like the first artist I discovered. But I'm gonna be honest, nothing hit me like acid rap. Absolutely
no. Yeah, that was a moment.
It wasn't even close. I just remember. I think one of my classmates showed it to me in high school, and even at that point, I was very early into my career of like just listening to music by myself.
No,
and like finding a Chicago artist that is also very religious, but is open to performing certain quote unquote sins or whatever, and like exploring that aspect and giving the lifestyle of a young black man in Chicago, like it wasn't fair. So ever since that start, it just took over. It was such a moment.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, that was a big cultural moment for me too, because like another rapper that I got into really early was Lupe Fiasco, and like I always knew like, oh, he's from like right here, and like
really your backyard.
yeah, like yeah, and I'm like okay, that's cool, but I didn't like really know what that meant. Like I was a very hard headed teenager. But then like when acid rap dropped, it was like, oh shit, like this is a local thing. And like I had a friend who like had recently moved to Atlanta. And I'm like, have you heard this fucking Chance the Rapper business? And he's like, who is that? And I'm like, what?
Like, how do you not know?
This is everyone's Facebook status right now. Like, how are you?
Literally, everyone was talking. See billboards everywhere, and like the fact that, especially in his early career, not signing to any kind of labels, going by himself, and like everything just seemed like so down to earth. Everything is at home. The advertising you would see out in the street is like damn near graffiti that you just see. And
Yeah.
it's like, damn, like this is literally like this is my home city. And this is like damn near my life.
No, it was a moment.
So that for me is probably the biggest highlight I would point out.
Yeah. Jasper?
It's tough. I mean, for me, the obvious answer is Kid Cudi. Being exposed to it at a much younger age, and then always having it around, but then, especially like Man on the Moon 1 and 2, but then really connecting with it and understanding it more as I got older. So I guess it wasn't necessarily like a singular moment which brought me in, but it was more so like how I changed to better understand and also, I guess, come to terms with realities on a project. And I feel like, and I feel like that's happened to me a couple of times. Man on the Moon is one of them. Jesus is definitely one of them. That when I first listened to it, I was huge into dark fantasy. I was huge into Graduation and 808s, like that era. Those are like the middle of high school for me because I was late to the party. And I remember when Jesus came out and I listened to it, and I didn't think much of it the first couple times, and then I thought more of it as high school went on. But then when I got into college and I started trying to be balanced being creative and doing creative side projects or holding a creative job while also going to business school, I started to really understand, like, this man is fighting demons and limitations, both self-imposed and also, in an industry. And I feel that. So
that is real.
Yeah, just like the circumstances of my own life that kind of lent more credence to the music, I think were a big impact on me across like a couple projects.
Yeah.
No, I like that a lot.
Another one that had a huge impact on me, especially because like I literally finished writing my first screenplay at the time, and that was because of the internet. Like when it dropped and it had the whole rollout, like it was like it just like unlocked like it kind of unlocked like this idea that like, oh, I'm gonna make things for the rest of my life, like I didn't know it'd be in this capacity, but like like that was just like the depth of it was just like wild to me.
I'm not gonna lie, looking back, it's aged really poorly, but Camp definitely had some of that effect for me.
I Camp was big for me too, and it was like, because the other thing is that like there was, because Camp came out before, what was it? Watching movies with the sound off, right?
Yeah.
And it seemed like the most popular strain of like hip hop and like the spheres I was running in, which wasn't really what I was into. Because like I was always split like at that point in my life, because like I went to high school out like way in the suburbs like by Schaumburg, but like I was working on the west side, so it was like it was culture shock every single day, right? So like on the west side, like it was very much like I would just talk about the music I was actually listening to, but like out in the suburbs, it was very like the people like Mac Miller and the type of artist that Mac Miller like associated with pre-watching movies with the sound off, in the frat.
Like Asher Roth.
Yeah, like Asher Roth.
Yeah.
Early Logic. Fucking other, like I think Chris Webby. I don't remember it.
Like are we talking like Blue? Are we talking like Blue Slide Park era Mac Miller? Like that?
Like that. Yeah, okay. Like Blue Slide Park. Best Day
like,
Ever. Best Day
more
ever.
like party rap then.
Yeah,
like, just
exactly.
Like,
exactly. And like, look, I think like those Mac projects have aged better than anything else in its movement.
Yeah.
But then like camp was big because like it was something that like everyone was kind of listening to. Like like it was like people on the west side thought it was kind of nerdy and like kind of
Yeah.
corny, but like they were still listening to like a few of the songs. Like it wasn't completely irrelevant, and it was something I could use to, like bridge the gap.
Yeah, I think it
and
tells.
Also, 1 second. If
Yeah.
you're watching this, Jeff, I'm not talking about you. I know that you've always listened to good hip hop. Like
There you go. I think camp is one of those things where it's very heavy handed and it's very childish, pun intended, in a lot of the ways that it deals with a lot of the issues that it brings up. But at the same time, it's really touching on a lot of kind of very fundamental human or maybe adolescent themes and feelings that, as you grow up, you have to grapple with in a certain way. So I think that like my freshman year of college, that was like definitely something I had on rotation because it was just like, yeah, I feel this. Like,
no,
figure it out. That kind of thing.
Like there was definitely a time in my life where I listened to camp all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like there was I think it's aged very poorly,
Yeah.
and also I think the increasing quality of Childish releases, with the exception of 31520, which I still think is better than camp, but like the increasing quality didn't help. Like that is definitely one thing is that I've noticed, like now having been like a fan of the genre for like easily like 15 years, right? Like it is like you just see how like perceptions of things change. Like think about like Nicki Minaj is the best example of this, where it was like
totally,
people fucking hated her and thought she was the death of hip hop when she came out, but now like she is the standard that like all other female rappers are rapped again. Like
I think I think there's a lot of artists who have really kind of undergone that kind of transformation in that time. Tyler comes to mind immediately.
And, like,
Action Bronson a little bit. Like
Action Bronson, definitely.
Ooh, yeah. Absolutely.
And like the better your later stuff is, the worse your older stuff is gonna age. Like that's just the reality of it, And like, hey, it's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. Like I don't think anyone is upset at that deal, but it is a reality. And I got no problems with it.
What I was gonna say, my second one, since we're doing second ones.
Yeah, I just keeping it real cash, but yeah, go ahead.
No, you're fine. The second one that I had that I wanted to bring up, it was my first time trying to go back to the 90s hip hop because like I feel like I was very generation locked, especially being that young and not knowing hip hop like that. You hear of the OGs, but you don't really know. But let's be honest, even today.
Yeah, no, that's totally a thing. Yeah.
People that's listening to TikTok songs and blah, 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 and not to sound like an old head, they're not going to know what even the blog era was. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, they think Kendrick Lamar's an old head. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the first time I went to listen to a Notorious Big album, I listened to Duet's The Final Chapter. That was the first time in my life I said, no, I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this lifestyle. This man was talking about everything, but no filter. I said, oh my God. Nah, this is 90s hip. This is traditional, hard, grimy hip hop, talking about everything.
Yeah. That was me when like it was.
I was like, oh man.
It was. I think it was when the Straight Outta Compton movie was announced.
Yep.
Not when it came out. Like I got like because I had gone through a really heavy Wu-Tang phase, like maybe 2 years before it was announced.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that came out, I like dived heavy into NWA, and it was just like, man, like this stuff is not aged a day. And like I think maybe like one of the biases I have, like coming from like being like before this, I was a huge rock, like punk and metal fan, and in those genres, you definitely have more of a respect. Like there's definitely more of a listening to older bands part of it. So I think like that was something that like I walked in and I just didn't have a. You're obviously generationally locked because like hip hop is cultural, right? You're talking about like what's going on right now, like you're always going to be a fucking like a slave to that to a certain extent. And then like also it didn't help what era we were coming out in. You know, like I can't help that. Like I'm really focused on the stuff coming out in 2012 because it's Good Kid, Mad City. Like,
Give me a break.
yeah,
Like,
and Take Care. You know, it's these excellent like high watermark albums.
exactly. I'm actually curious, Jasper, because you're a big Tupac person. How was your
Yes.
first experience, like, actually listening to Tupac?
So here's the thing, right? I'm gonna lay out for you the sequence of events that actually got me into the genre because I feel like that has a lot of context clues as to like why I am the way that I am. You know, it's like the Office. Why are you the way that you are? Basically, yeah, I knew. So I had neighbors who, my buddy Tyler, love Tyler, who had an older brother Brandon who was up on everything from like early 2000s forward. So like 2006, I was like hanging out. I was probably like 8, 9 at the time. I was not like probably 9, and then just like would go over there. They had like CDs and iPod, like all the little things where it's like you start picking up things and learning about things like that. So going through like 2006, 2009, I was exposed to Eminem, and then Kanye, and then like pretty much everybody who was current. So like current Jay-Z at the time, Blueprint 2, stuff like that. And then up to like Kid Cudi and things like that. And then when I started getting more into hip hop myself, because it became more prevalent culturally when I was in high school, I started out with Eminem because I remembered enjoying a lot of that. And Eminem kind of became the bridge for me to get into it, where he was still relevant and still making music in, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, but he also had that connection to with all these features and all these production credits to 90s west, specifically West Coast hip hop, right? So I discovered Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg specifically through that avenue. I discovered obviously D12, um, the whole NWA movement prior to that, and then also with that Tupac. And Tupac was really where I settled, just because he had the perfect balance of the things that I like, where he has a rhyme scheme that isn't overly complicated, where it takes a really long time to memorize it or enjoy it. It's not grating in any way. He's very smooth. And at the same time, he's got that heavy, kind of almost fat or thick West Coast instrumentation behind him that's also comes across very smooth. So he's able to share an important message, do it in a way that's catchy and memorable, but also does it over instrumentation that's, in a lot of ways still rewarding on like the 10th, 20th listen. So that was kind of like my process. I kind of, from Eminem, went both ways with the genre. And I settled more so on Kid Cudi and Kanye at the end of the day, in like the newer portion, and then specifically more so on Tupac in the 90s.
No.
And then just carry forward from Cudi and Kanye till now.
No.
No, that makes sense, honestly.
No.
And even speaking on like the older style that you were saying, I feel like it reminds me of spoken word almost. You're saying like that the rhyme scheme isn't overbearing.
Yeah.
But like you can kind of pick up on it eventually.
Yeah.
You learn the lyrics and stuff like that. I like that.
Yeah, and that's part of why I think, at least right now, I'm working on this. I'm like trying to get more into it. People like Kendrick and Jid and others who have like more complex rhyme schemes, it's fatiguing for me because I'm the kind of person who wants to go and dig and like learn it. And if I have to go back and do it X amount more for this one particular song,
that's the best part.
it is assuming that for me, I also have an equal amount of enjoyment from the instrumentation, because otherwise I get fatigued by that.
Yeah, I guess
that's the whole balance for me.
Man, I literally texted Brandon a lyric today. It was the first thing I did when I woke up, and I said, "I just got this lyric." Like,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You listen to an album for 10
Years
years.
later.
You listen to an album for 10 years. You finally put something together that you didn't do.
Yeah.
That has happened to me on Kanye albums up until like last year.
My God,
like
so
Late
fun.
Registration has had that shit for me.
Yeah, no, it's
Bro, you be sitting there just listening, like, wait, what did he say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite interview moments like ever was it was with LP, and like someone's like, he gives like a rhyme scheme, like he's like, "What did you mean by this?" And then he's like, "Did you mean this thing?" And he gives like this long like thing, like, "Is this what you meant?" because he's like known for having those really intricate like verses, and he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, it was just a joke," like,
Yeah,
It just came together.
which is like the other side of it, which is just like, but yeah, no, like to me, like the lyrical density, like that has
Yeah.
always, I've always been a lyric forward listener. Like, don't get me wrong, like music is obviously like the most important part, but like that is just like the hook that attaches me, right? And like, yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna. It's probably why, like, even though I have massive respect for the man, I don't listen to a whole lot of Black Thought because, like, you know, the root style like doesn't vibe with me as much as others, you know. But yeah, no, like to me, like the listening to it over and over again and like understanding like the craft of it, you know, because it's like a good verse is like at the same time like a poem and a guitar solo, and it's like trying to, and like Jid is like the best example of that, you know, and it's like, you know, that is the part that I love, and that's like why I think I love hip hop so much, just because like that is what I go to pretty much all music for, and it is here in abundance, right? And like, you know, obviously there are songs that like you can listen to and like the lyrics aren't necessary, you know, like Chief Keef is probably my best like example where it's like that guy could say anything. The only three words that are necessary in that song is "don't like."
Okay.
Like,
You also need the 300.
300.
Right.
All right.
I don't even remember what I was saying. That's the crazy part.
He said, "Do you have a confident answer about for the question?"
Yeah. Do you have the question being what does hip hop mean to you? Do you have like a confident answer?
Is this where Purvis says it, or you just want to go off?
No, we're recording now. You can just go ahead.
I'm bullshitting.
This is how we record.
I kind of do. It's more like it's more of a feeling though than I would say like just a confident answer. It's like a mix, I would say, of feelings. It's like when somebody says like, "What's hip hop mean to me?" First thing I think is like freedom.
Yeah.
I could say what I want. I could feel how I want. It's you know what I'm saying. It's the truth. It's a breath of fresh air. It's something that gives like chances, second chances. It's the dopest form of expression. It's knowledge. It's everything. It's life.
Yeah. Honestly.
That honestly is so accurate. I couldn't
Really
answer.
good.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Wait, hold on, because that's a lot to break down. I mean, that is a really good answer though, and to wrap all those things into it, it is life. It's how we communicate with each other. It's how
I mean
everything.
It is It's a culture. Like it's all parts of it, right? It's a look. It's not just a sound. It's a look. It's a feel. It's a perspective. It's almost an attitude, really.
It's the dopest form of expression.
Yeah.
Like because you could express yourself anyway. You know, like movies or a book, anything. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is definitely like the most show stopping. Is that what drew you to the genre, both as like a listener and as a artist?
I think it was the breath of fresh air, the freedom, like probably how the generation before us felt when they heard rock.
Oh yeah.
It's that feeling we feel like, oh shit, what is this? You know, this is us. This is us. This is for us. This is ours. Our little piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our little way
honestly,
to speak.
It's so true what you just said, because when you were talking about the truth and like the freedom part to it, I instantly started thinking, because like let's be honest, in terms of hip hop, it's simply bigger within minorities, and like we need our freedom. That's a real thing. Like
it's a call to action. Like, you know,
like,
I don't think
literally.
I don't think it's an accident that like every major like demand for justice and freedom in this country has been paired with like hip hop culture since its inception. You know, whether you're talking like back in the late 80s with NWA, whether we're talking like
Public Enemy.
It's what Public Enemy, like when they were around, 2015 with Kendrick Lamar, you know, and that run of the Black Lives Matter movement, 2020 and Run the Jewels, I think is another one.
And Lil Baby had that one.
And Lil Baby had that excellent song. That really
Man.
excellent song that like really was just the moment, you know. Childish Gambino had that great one, and he's not even like an artist who's known for that. And so like,
Yeah. Y'all got me on that, dude.
Oh yeah,
Y'all
And-
got me
you know?
on that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good artist.
Oh yeah, when y'all showed me his shit, I was like, damn. And then it's like, hey, he's an actor and a comedian, and damn, he do everything.
yeah.
You do it all.
And like,
That's true.
oh man, I really want you to go even further into that like freedom thing, because like it is just true. Do you feel like a unique freedom like when you're creating in the genre?
I think it's no boundaries like with hip hop. I feel like you're literally
Yeah.
free to do whatever you want, sample from whatever you want.
Yeah, and it's like if you're a rock band, you have to have a live band.
Yeah.
But like if you're a hip hop artist, you can have a DJ, but you can also have the live band.
I was gonna say
Right,
that you
like-
can do your roots. You can have the roots jump off.
Well,
and do
I've
that for a
seen
little bit.
Lupe Fiasco perform with a live
Yeah.
band, and Vic Mensa. I've seen a bunch of rappers perform with a live band.
Jay-Z with Linkin Park. That little
Yeah.
mix.
That's
Yeah.
a big one.
That was one of the biggest collabs ever. And it's like, even going back to the genre's inception, it kind of has that conversation with rock music, you know, with the Walk This Way cover by Run DMC.
Oh, and Aerosmith. Yeah.
Yeah, and Aerosmith. You know, people forget, especially people of our generation, because it was all long before we were alive. But like
Yeah.
Aerosmith was like down and out
It's
at that
before
point. Like
us.
no one gave a no one gave a shit about Aerosmith. Like at that
Yeah,
point,
this is-
because they were big in the
This is before
'70s,
the
but not in the
Alicia Silverstone jump off videos.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
before that.
Yeah, and like, look, they were big in the '70s, but they weren't very big in the '80s. Like, they fell off
Yeah.
really hard, and then
Mhm.
Run DMC brought them back. You know, yeah. So, like, you've been alive for everyone we've talked to has been alive for the entire 50 years of hip hop. So I gotta ask, like, what are some of the?
That's lucky, right?
Yeah, we're very lucky. What are like some of the most iconic hip hop moments to you personally? Right, it doesn't have to be like the big cultural moment. It can be like the smaller, like holy shit.
Of course, I usually give, like, the first thing I could think of is like the Pac, Biggie, like their deaths is definitely like, what the hell? Like, people, are we dying because of music now? I thought, like Twister said, we did it. We got into music to stop doing the gangster shit. Like, what
Yeah.
are we doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like those. That right there is probably one of them, and then of course like just like things like artists like Twista, Kanye from our own city, you know, popping off, and you're like, damn, we can do it. All
Yeah,
right, we can
like right
make
here.
something happen.
Do you have any like final quick thoughts like on the genre before you?
I know in 20 years from now, people are gonna be hating like on the music that we have now, just because like that seems like that's what's happening. It's the trend.
It's all a cycle.
And right, it's a cycle, and I think I would just tell people like to keep an open mind because hip hop is always evolving. It got to the point where we got, you know what I'm saying? Because it was always something classified as dumb music or something you don't like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I think just keep an open mind because it's gonna keep changing. It's gonna keep advancing.
There's a proverb where it's like, you know, in a perfect society, the young go to the elders for old knowledge, and the elders go to the young for new knowledge.
Yeah.
Right,
And
and it's like
stay cool, really.
I really, and you know, like, yeah, I really hope that's this kind of like cycle of just like, you know, being jaded to the stuff that's come so far before you, and then like once you have like 20 years of being a fan, like being jaded towards the stuff coming out now, I hope we're able to break that cycle because like there's always going to be cool stuff coming out. There's always going to be cool stuff, and there will always be access to the cool stuff of the past.
Oh yeah.
And dope is dope. It's timeless. When it's timeless, it's timeless. Right now, you can pop open that Motown, Billie Jean, Michael Jackson doing that performance like 1980 something,
Yeah,
and you can pop that up right now and see how like, wow, that's dope. And you're right. So it's timeless.
hell
It's
yeah.
forever.
Mhm. That's very true.
Like,
God said there will always be poor people. No.
and we're back.
No. It's
And we're back. Hell no.
Trust me, reading the Bible would be my last
There will always
result
be
in
poor
a
people.
conversation in like a friendly adult debate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Because I'll start quoting the Quran, I swear. Like,
Okay.
He's talking about some DLC to the Bible.
dude, I remember the
that's
other.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what your Bible is. Your Bible is DLC to the Old
DLC,
Testament.
yeah.
So shut
Also-
your poor mouth.
Also, the Quran is 3 parts, and the first part is the Torah, the second part is the Gospels. Like,
Yeah, but that's because the
Did
Quran
you-
was written last.
yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah.
That is the point I am making.
Extra more DLC.
Yeah,
Extra more
yeah,
DLC.
yeah. No, the 4 Gospels are in the Quran. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, like
Literally.
All right, so
And we're back.
and we're back. All right, so
That's funny.
we were inspired by a TikTok by I have it pulled up by Elise. She goes by Elise. We're gonna include a link in the description to her TikTok where she dropped a 5-song starter pack for
Jesus.
just to be a general introduction into the genre. And we thought it might be a cool little goof to do that ourselves, and it turned out to be the hardest prep we've ever done for this show.
It was extremely hard.
It was very difficult for me.
I changed my list.
So I'm gonna go off the ones she did,
Okay.
and give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up on mute.
I also have a request. I think it would be fun if we're going to go around and talk about our songs, if we could read out or share maybe a lyric or two that's like the most impactful to us and what it means to the culture. I think that'd be fun.
You should have told me this yesterday.
I'm
Man,
sorry.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, no, sorry. That requires prep. Like,
I feel like I could just do it on the spot for mine.
I could,
Bro,
but
you
like,
know how difficult that is.
Yeah,
I have to
that's
give a
so
good
good.
answer.
All right,
that's
all
so difficult. I could just do all of Killer Mike's verse from one of my songs.
Go for it.
But I thought we would just give our rationale, like
I'm
why
just
we
gonna
think.
get
Purvis, you look like you're in so much pain.
Yeah, no, that sounds
Bro,
like
I
a
was just gonna get a song.
yeah.
Can't give you a whole.
No, I'm
lyric.
sorry. Yeah,
No.
I don't want us to be here for 3 hours.
Yeah,
We're
so I figured we just do round robin. Oh, so the 5 she did were
Still Dre
still Dre was it in the club?
in the club. 50 Cent.
What was the Eve song? Let me blow your mind. Let me blow your
Yep.
mind by Eve. No Role Models, J. Cole.
Huge.
Money Trees, Kendrick Lamar. Huge.
Huge.
Yeah. So like a flawless 5-song list, not a single miss.
Yeah.
So we
Love it.
decided that since we're taking her entire concept, we are going to retire those 5 songs, which was hard for me because I really wanted Money Trees.
And I really wanted no role models.
Yeah. Which is hilarious considering who wound up on our list. But so yeah, we have it. We spent all week agonizing over this. We're going to do round robin. Just go your thing. Tell me why you arrived there.
Freak story, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Purvis, you want to start us off? Oh, Captain,
I
my
will
captain.
start us- Yes, sir. In honor of you, I'm going to do the song "All Right" by Kendrick Lamar.
That's perfect.
It is probably one of the biggest songs, at least in the past 10 years, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe more. Just in terms of not only quality, it's one of the best songs that he has out there. The bars go hard, the music, the actual beat goes hard, the chorus goes hard, and it expands so much far past that. It actually it's a timestamp in where we are in our lives in terms of just like social movements that we go through in our generation. It's
Massive
so much
issues that our culture is rectifying
literally.
that you couldn't avoid if you didn't listen to hip hop, right? The stuff All Right is talking about is unescapable in America.
It is literally unavoidable. And like one of the things that we talked about weeks ago, Jasper and I was having a conversation at work a long time ago. You do not get a lot of like deep political hip hop albums.
No, you don't.
It's few and far between nowadays. And All Right, and just like that entire album.
It's also the rare, because I have a very political song on mine, and I think All Right is incredible because it touches on those issues while still being like empowering and like uplifting and hype. And like it bangs in the whip. Like it's like you just can listen to it.
Things everywhere. You just saw it live.
Dude, I blew my it was save maybe Metallica's Master of Puppets, the best song I've ever seen performed live was All Right. And Jasper was right there for it.
I love
Yes. We love Pharrell's 4 count at full volume
Yeah.
hits.
it. It
Yeah.
never fails.
Never fails. That Pharrell 4 count
Yep.
filling
We're here
all of
for it.
Grant Park. Ah!
Energy. That was the biggest crowd I've ever been a part of at a concert.
Yeah.
No, yeah. When
Yeah,
I
it
saw him
was
live,
between
in
that
Madison,
and yeah, it
I
was
damn near jumped off the balcony.
yeah, Kendrick was crazy. That or Run the Jewels was probably the biggest crowd I've ever been a part of. Jasper, you want to do yours?
Sure, yeah, I'll go for my first. It's a song that I've recommended before. I've talked about it a lot. One of my favorite songs of all time. Tupac, Changes. Iconic.
That is
It
iconic.
doesn't
Honestly, is.
it doesn't age, and the reason it doesn't age is because it was, and in a lot of ways still is, totally ahead of its time.
No, yeah.
The things that he's talking about on here are things that came true and started becoming like part of the public consciousness in like 2005, 2008.
Yeah.
We're looking at like like almost a 10 to 20 year difference on some of these things. He talks about people in the 90s not being ready for a black president. He talks about the fact that the black community needs to change the way they live and the way they eat specifically, because that's something that's contributing to death rates. He talks about like just the reality of what it's like to be oppressed and part of a community that is seen in a different way by the people who hold power. In this case, he's talking about police. And these are things that, Kendrick went on to talk about and articulate even further in All Right, but it's like these messages go way back, and I think Tupac was one of the greatest to ever really pen them, at least in the 90s.
Yeah.
I
No.
fully agree.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. That is an incredible song. One of the filtering things I did is that like I did go through a little bit of a Tupac phase, but not a massive one. But yeah, no, that was that's it.
For sure.
Yeah, no.
And I know we're not doing the lyric thing, but there's one line or one little verse or part of verse I want to read to you, just because I love it and it's still totally relevant today, for even more so now than ever before, with COVID, post-COVID, the way things have been, financial instability, all that stuff. I see no changes. Can a brother get a little peace? There's war on the streets, war in the Middle East. Instead of a war on poverty, they got a war on drugs so the police can bother me. And it's like, damn.
No,
This is all still more relevant than ever before. Like
30 years ago, basically.
Yeah, I was just downtown and like further south than I've been in a bit, like where I used to live down near like Bronzeville, Bridgeport area. And like the homeless rates around there have exploded. And yeah, there is no war on poverty. You just see like further action on, other, I think in a lot of cases, nonsensical or things that are just a waste of budget and time, things like that. It doesn't seem like there's anything that's pulling us away from that direction.
There can be. Okay.
Do not scream revolution.
No. Okay.
Don't do it.
I'm trying not to. It's very hard. All right.
If you had your cat here, Revolution Meow.
I would. I would, and then we would meow the jewels anyway. So
I hate both of you.
Yeah.
What is your first song, Brad?
My first song, and here's the thing: we have a very clear theme, because our first songs are all West Coast rappers.
Yeah.
My
And
first
all
song,
political.
because like, yeah, my first song. Well, mine's not the super political song off the album, but I'm going straight out of Compton. NWA. MWA was the group that I had like a big like them and Wu-Tang were the groups that like my old school phase I went through hard, and like when we decided to do this for the podcast, this was the first song I wrote down. I was like straight out of Compton, right?
I added it too and I removed it.
Yeah,
because I knew you was gonna have it.
Dude, I love this. I love this album. I love this song. I'm gonna be pushing hard to do a deep dive on this album soon. And yeah, dude, so my perspective on this list was that I was trying to be as diverse as possible. I was looking for as many like regional styles, as far apart as I could make, like the ages, you know, like the eras that they were in, you know, the conventions of it. And like one, this is like the first big hip hop group, which like have always been a minority, but hip hop groups are a really big deal. Two, I mean, Dr. Dre invented the West Coast sound. You know, you guys don't get Kendrick and Tupac without this album. Not that like, you know, they didn't build and like, you know, make incredible stuff. You know, I do think like Tupac is a better lyricist than anyone in NWA, and Kendrick, you know. And yeah, dude, and like I just love that it created gangster rap. You know, this cultural force that like, yeah, has not been the dominant force in hip hop in a long time, but it's still relevant. You see it going in some different routes. You know, gangster rap nowadays doesn't sound anything like gangster rap from this era, save maybe Schoolboy Q. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, this is easily like this was the easiest selection, the second easiest selection on my list. And if I had to pick like a lyric, I'm not even going with a lyric because one, I can't say most of them, and two, like, like this isn't like the deepest song in the world. That's just like crazy bars.
Yeah.
But the moment that gets me that just blows my mind, gets me going every time, is the quick interlude right before MC Ren's verse, where it's him and Eazy-E, and it's like, "Yo, Ren, what's up? Tell him where you're from. Straight out of."
Right.
Every single time. Every single time.
Goes hard
Look,
every time.
Ice Cube is like one of my favorite rappers of all time, but MC Ren is the
right?
most underrated rapper of all time. There, I said it. Like, MC Ren, most underrated rapper of all time.
And I don't mean Stimpy's friend, bitch.
Nice.
There's another lyric for you.
That was good. Yeah, that was good. So yeah, I have the lyrics pulled up, so I will be participating in this. But there's at least one song on my list where it's impossible, and I hate you. Like, all right.
Okay, understandable. Moving on to our second one then. I had to represent the ladies a little bit because they've been such an influence in what we have here in the hip hop genre.
As far as audience, the dominant force.
The dominant force.
You know, like.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, the more you attract women, like the more like dominant you are. And like I really think like it's kind of across the board, right? Like, you know, whether we're talking about Drake, someone who sells out the United Center, whether we're talking about someone like Run the Jewels, who has like a 40th of their listener base, but can sell out Riot Fest and have a 50-50 split, you know, gender wise. You know, like you have even Future, who is like not someone who you would think has a strong female audience, but he does. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's stayed relevant for so long.
Mm-hmm. No, I fully agree.
Yeah.
But what I decided to pick, I wanted to go way back because like there's not many female group hip hop, like actual like groups. Like I can't think of many in general. But going all the way back to Push It by Salt and Pepper. This is an iconic song. I don't know anyone that probably doesn't know.
No, yeah, this is probably one of the most well-known hip hop songs of all time. My mother could sing the verse to this.
Low key, my mom know this song, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's just a staple of its time. It is timeless as well, where it goes all throughout all the generations. It's damn near a pop song as well.
It is definitely in the pop rap vein, but I mean, when you think about it, though, they're a little ahead of their time. Like pop rap wasn't really a thing in the 90s.
Literally.
You know, like, yeah, there were popular rappers, but there wasn't hip hop that was simultaneously like mass consumable, but also authentic.
Right. Like,
I feel like Slim Shady LP kind of ushered that in.
I think Slim Shady LP is incredible, but I don't think it's pop rap.
Well, I guess in terms of numbers,
I think it had like big mainstream. I think it crossed over because it brought in white America, but I don't think that's necessarily the same thing.
True.
Like we talk about pop music not only being like a genre but a form.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Salt and Pepper is kind of like the first group to really put it into that like pop form.
True.
in a way that's like really compelling.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But yeah, that's my second one.
Yeah. Are you gonna do a lyric, or are you just giving up on that?
I'm
No,
not gonna
that's
do
fine.
it. It's
That's fine.
too
That's
hard.
fine. That's fine. I'm okay. That's fine. I'm okay.
I will let you all do lyrics.
That's fine. All right, Jasper.
Jasper?
What's your second one?
We Don't Care by our
By Mr. Hitler.
guy Kanye.
All right.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
I do like the song a lot.
I'm not. No, I
mad
love.
at you.
I love this song. I love this song so much. And I had a Kanye song I might listen till this morning. Like, I think Kanye is totally in game for this.
Power
Like,
was on mine for a very long
Yeah,
time.
no, like
Yeah.
Kanye's totally on the list for this. You know, regardless of how I feel about him right now, you can't ignore it.
Yeah, I think that the framing of this song is so important, as it being like the first song on his debut album, and also it being bookended by those pretend Bernie Mac skits, right? Where it's like
Yeah,
Hell no.
God,
you get
Leave Bernie
you.
Mac alone. We like Bernie Mac.
dude. Bernie Mac's
Well,
hilarious.
that's not-
I
it's-
love Bernie Mac, dude.
But that's not actually Bernie
R.I.P.
Mac,
the
you know.
goat. Yeah, I know.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
But just the what in the fuck was that
Yeah.
at the very end
Yeah,
gets me
it's
every
like
time. But
it's like how he couldn't get the clearance for the Ray Charles sample, so he got
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, who played him in the movie, to come do it. Like,
He made it work. That's all.
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
say.
no, I love. I
But-
think that's incredible. Like,
yeah, this song is great. I mean, it's got
He's a good song.
it's got everything. It's got the signature sound that went on to kind of define like the start of a decade, really.
it really
and
was a signature sound. Like, it was an unescapable sound, and I'm gonna say it. I think it's my favorite sound. Like, of the dominant sounds I've seen in my life,
Mhm.
the Kanye sample heavy, like chipmunk soul kind of production, I think is
Mhm.
my favorite.
Beat it.
You know, I also think it's like I also think, like, how do I put this? I think it's also much more of a flexible sound than we thought for a long time, right? Like, Griselda is kind of taking that kind of production style into a different direction than Kanye ever did. Whereas everyone, I think, like, kind of was chasing that Kanye sound. I
Mhm.
think now it's like starting to open up again, and I think that's interesting. But we wouldn't be there without Kanye in the first place.
True.
Yeah, and this is another one of those things where it defines a sound, and it stands its ground so strong, but at the same time isn't afraid to tackle issues that are not being discussed in the mainstream at the time, right? You've got the gangster rap image of the early 2000s that emerged with, 50 Cent and everything that came with that, but at the same time you've got the pink polo, and you've got
Yeah.
this whole completely different aesthetic lane. And he's talking about things that, and vulnerabilities and things that aren't necessarily popular or trendy, but he's doing it in such a way that it becomes the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And it's the first song on his first album, and it makes that big of a splash. Like, Through the Wire is the one that gets all the credit off this album, and All Falls Down to an extent also. Like, later on.
That's like my favorite from that album.
But at the same time, I think that this song doesn't necessarily get its flowers because of that, because of those two, and I think it deserves it.
I'll keep it real with you. I think We Don't Care is a better song than Through the Wire. Through the Wire is great. That whole album's great, but I think We Don't Care is like a top tier early Kanye song.
I'll take Slow Jams. I'm sorry.
Nah, I do
The
like
first
Slow
album
Jams.
out.
I was between that and
Slow
this.
Jams for
Yeah,
the
Slow
first
Jams.
album.
If I was going first album, I would have to go All Falls Down.
You
Like
know
that, those verses, dude. Oh
All
my,
Falls Down is great.
Oh
yeah.
my god, and like that kind of.
About Jesus Walks.
Oh, Jesus Walk. How'd you forget Jesus Walks?
Jesus Walks.
How'd
Dude,
you forget
No,
Jesus Walks?
it's up there. It's up
Yeah.
there for sure.
in the tank filling a
Jesus-
gun.
Jesus-
to the beat.
Jesus Walks. Double cup,
Oh
like.
my.
All right.
God, I hate him. That he's so good.
God. All right. I'm gonna do my next one, and I thought this one was like an outside pick, but I also really really like it. I'm picking Back to Back by Drake.
I support.
I really wanted to cover hip hop conventions, like things that the genre does that like don't really happen other places, and I had to include a diss track. And the thing I like about this one is, one, yeah, I know, like, if we talk about beef, there has been like Pusha T fucking destroyed Drake with the story of Adelon. But here's the thing: you don't go to a nightclub and hear the story of Adelon.
You don't.
You know?
Adidon. Isn't it Adidon?
Whatever.
I don't know.
Like, like
But you don't hear it.
But
at the
like,
club.
I
You don't
hear
it back to
this to at bars to this day, right?
Yep, 100%.
And the fact that this is a song that like fell like one, Drake is, whether we like it or not, he's the biggest rapper of all time, the most popular of all time. And this just works double duty because it's a diss track and a great one at that. And it also like was a huge club hit. And like, look, hip hop has lived in many different places. At first, it was at parties and warehouses being performed exclusively live. Then it moved to albums where it like kind of still primarily lives. But then there was radio play, which started in the 90s when hip hop started being more popular. And then there was nightclubs when it started to like attract a trendy young audience. And I felt like, you know, you can't really tell the story of hip hop without that. So yeah, no, I was very, very proud of myself for arriving at back to back. And
I fully support because it saved all of us from having to pick a Drake track.
Yeah. And if I had to pick, a lyric, it's got to be, "You love her, then you got to give the world to her." Is that a world tour or your girl store? I know that you got to be a thug for her. This ain't what she meant when she told you to open up more. Jesus Christ. By
don't do it.
Audrey Graham. Drake said,
Audrey Graham. Hell no.
Wheelchair Jimmy from Degrassi got
That sounds
into
like
the booth
Yeah.
and said, "You gonna make me step out of my fucking frame. You gonna make me buy bottles for Charlemagne." Dude,
Nah, yeah,
it just works on every angle.
He's talking about legit bought bottles.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
He's in his bag.
Yeah, I remember I was on Instagram.
That's
Dude, this was
Just the cadence of that. It could have been an MF Doom line right out of context.
yeah.
and he said that he was listening to MF Doom when he wrote this. And also
It
the
makes sense.
the most shocking part about this is that I'm the one with Nav representation because Nav produced this with 40.
I know.
Yeah.
Told me,
But I can't deny it though. Like
it all comes full circle.
Purvis, I am nothing if not fair, and like I'm just calling balls and strikes. I just think Nav sucks. But this is it.
This got it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna do. I think this might be my biggest one, if I'm being honest. I tried to do some research as well because I wanted to get other opinions. So I looked at a bunch of lists, and this came up top 5 on every damn list I saw. And I remember the first time I listened to it.
Yeah.
But Mind Playing Tricks on Me by Ghetto Boys has to be one of the most iconic songs damn near ever.
Yeah.
It is the storytelling that goes within this song
It's insane.
is insane. It's something I've never heard before. It's a true story. Like you can sit down and listen to a true full story front to back from multiple perspectives about this song by itself. It's everything you need. It's what hip hop's about.
Yeah. Definitely.
So-
And I like that we have some Southern representation here.
Exactly.
You know,
it's just perfect.
Yeah. All right, Jasper. We've talked about this song extensively, but I think it's a completely valid choice. I gotta keep it real. Like
I'm happy you put it. I'm not going to lie.
No,
I text Brandon. I say I know he's going to put it.
I'm
I
like,
know he's
look,
gonna
if
put it.
Jasper shows up with like Cuddy, Travis, Cardi, Uzi, I'd be like, okay. But like this,
all right, yeah.
this list, this is a great list, Jasper.
This
you
is
did a
a
great
fantastic-
job. And, like,
And you
I
including
have
this
deep
song-
cuts when I try.
You
you
did a
including
great
this
job.
song?
But you know what? Pursuit of
Yeah.
Happiness, I'm with it because like I do think Day and Night was on my honorable mentions. Like if I have 3 honorable mentions, it's We Don't Care, not We Don't Care, Touch the Sky, Day and Night, and Mortal Man.
Yeah. It's Pursuit of Happiness. I think that this song is, it's an anthem, but at the same time, I think it doesn't necessarily get its credit for being such a. I think there's more messaging here than people really think about. I think this is a song about hubris, and it's about overconfidence, and it's about the consequences, right? Cuddy's described this song in the past as being like he's trapped in a nightmare where he's making bad decisions.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly what this is entirely about. It's like you know, you're having a good time, but the good times aren't going to last. And I think that that's something that
Literally.
there's so much posturing in the genre where it's like, oh, like this is we're only having a good time and all the music videos are perfect and everything's perfect, but that's not reality. And I think that that's part of where Cudi really shines, is showing imperfections and how reality really can be. And I think this song does that, but it does it in a way that is at a different level, just because of how catchy it is, how just, I would say, consistently pervasive it is throughout culture. Like
Yeah.
I was walking down the street to go see Oppenheimer in the year of our Lord 2023. I was in Wrigleyville.
Yes.
I went I killed Purvis.
You were in my neighborhood?
Yeah,
Come on, bro.
I was walking up Clark. I was going to the theater that's like right next to there's like a UFC gym or something right there near Wrigley.
Oh, the Alamo Draft House.
Yes, I went to the Alamo Draft House with a friend of mine, and we were going to see Oppenheimer. As we're walking in the door, across the street at one of those open bars full of Cubs people, you hear the Steve Aoki
Some of those
remix
bars,
start
yeah.
up. And I'm not talking about the Steve Aoki remix here, but I'm just saying, like, this song has had that constant presence since it came out in 2009. Like,
I mean, the thing is,
it's crazy.
The reason I think this is a great selection, and obviously it's a phenomenal song. It's a classic among classics. The music video pairs perfectly with it. Why'd I drink so much and smoke so much? Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that stuff.
It's hubris. It's the
Yeah.
whole overconfidence.
Yeah, the fact that he had Drake in the music
In the video.
Yeah,
was
I
almost
love.
like-
Me and Shaw talked about that because he mentioned
Yeah.
he
Like,
loved all the
okay,
little
are you
cameos
the-
in like old music videos. And I'm like, you
Drake,
got
are
that
you
still.
the
You got
party boy?
Drake. You got the Weeknd's video where he has like Travis
knew
Scott
already.
and Nav.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep, it all comes together. But just like the fact that like hip hop as a whole, it always gets kind of like a bad rep from certain people who want to be judgmental, where it's like, oh, it's only about music,
and
it's only about
and
cars,
people who
it's
are
about
racist.
girls.
Yeah.
That-
Ben Shapiro has entered the chat, everybody.
Obviously, I was trying not to say it, but like the fact that it takes a whole different perspective of like it's not always about money. Like you gonna do some crazy stuff sometimes, and you need to chill out. Like it's so much that goes into it. It's just like damn, Cudi literally saved some people's lives.
Yeah, no, he really did.
It fits with Cudi's persona because he was one of the gaps in between generations.
Yeah, he
Yep.
really was.
It's true.
Yeah, he really
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
He
honestly,
was
yeah.
very much like a bridge for a lot of people.
And you know what? I was born in 97. Millennials ended 95. I'm technically like early Gen Z, I guess, but at the same time, so different in a lot of ways, I feel like, from people who are,
Yeah, I'm
you know,
92.
20 now. So it's like
Yeah.
this, I would fall into that gap specifically.
Did you say 97?
Yeah.
It's 97.
God damn.
You
Yeah, I
old.
know. Yeah, I know.
Purvis, we're the same age.
Yeah, I'm a year older.
You're what is it, 6 months?
A couple
5 months? Yeah.
couple months.
I was 9.
Yeah, I was about to say this nigga was up. But
All
I
right.
mean, honestly though, all the songs that we have here, it is the most like personal one that's not egotistic. So I think it's
Yeah.
a good choice.
Yeah, no, it is. Do you have a lyric?
I mean, I'm screaming out, fuck that. I mean, like, that's it. Like, what else am I going to
that's
pick
all we
off
need
this?
to know. Yeah.
No.
Or you know what? No, tell me what you know about the night terrors every night. 5 a.m. cold sweats, waking up to the sky. There you go.
There
That's
you go.
good.
I like that. I like that.
All right, so we're here, we're talking. Isaac,
All right.
I
Yo,
got it.
what's
So
up?
we're asking everyone. It's the 50th anniversary of hip hop. What does hip hop mean to you? Because I feel like everyone who's like a part of this culture, like we wear it with pride. It's like a big deal
Oh,
to
yeah.
us. Yeah,
It's a badge we keep on our sleeves. Hip hop for me personally, that's kind of a tough question to answer because you see the artists that you listen to and you try to almost be a part of or live the world that they're expressing. And so for me personally, it's almost sharing an experience or an emotional feeling that I have at a certain moment with someone else. They're just doing a really good job explaining how I
Yeah.
feel.
it's like magic.
So that's kind of what hip hop. Yeah, it's like magic. So that's kind of what hip hop means to me. It's an escape from the everyday headache, or it can be a form of expressing anything that I'm dealing with at any given moment. So it's a big part of my life.
Yeah. What are like, because, I think we're all lucky enough that like, hip hop's been around our whole lives. So like, what are, you would say, like the most defining hip hop moments to you? Right. Like
Defining hip hop moments
as
for
a
me.
fan, like what was it like the moment where you realized the genre was for you?
So when I realized it was really for me, I would like to think I'm kind of like a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Because my brother and I come from a very religious home that looked at hip hop as like devil music per se.
Yeah.
But I definitely had my own way of kind of listening. And so growing up, there was one particular person. I'm the oldest, the sibling, but growing up, there's one particular person. His name is Jawan, but we always called him Poppy. He was like my big brother. My brother knows who he is. He's been around our family forever. He was always like my big brother. And so I will always listen to or watch almost anything that he did. So when it came to music, he was literally probably my stepping stone into hip hop.
Yeah.
And so I would hear him, and we're talking about, I was born in 1988. Yeah. And so I think about maybe around the time that I was like maybe 11 and 12, I could really kind of pay attention to make my own mindset of music instead of just going based off of what I heard him talking to with his friends about in general. So with him, it was, he comes from a generation, it was like heavy DMX, Tupac, Biggie,
that early 2000s sound.
Early 2000, actually
bleeding like over from 90s. the 90s.
Yeah, late 90s, to be honest. And so when I finally got to the moment where I was looking for myself, listening for myself, we're talking now probably 6th, 7th grade. I'm gonna find out the music I like on my own. And we're talking, that's 2001, 2002. And so I was like a drug addict. I heard one thing and I just had to hear more.
What was it?
So the first album, I feel like I really, really was just like, I'm gonna try to listen to this on my own by myself. The first thing that come off of my mind is 50 Cent, Die Hard. Get Rich or Die Trying. I really feel like that was probably the first album I went to find on my own all the way through from front and back. And then after that, I feel like it was Kanye. And so those are two different sounds kind of to me personally.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more, you got one aspect a little bit more rough, and then old Kanye is a little bit more spiritual, which kind of came to me personally being a church person. So that's when I got hit hard. I feel like around 01, 02, that's when I really like, yeah, this is something I'm about.
Yeah. I think like that Kanye stuff was like really impactful for everyone. Cause that was,
hell yeah.
That was like the first two albums I ever bought. And it's like very indicative of like my taste in music for the rest of my life was Green Day's American Idiot and Kanye's College Dropout.
Right.
Right. It was like,
it is interesting because before hip hop, I'll be the one doing the summer watching like MTV.
Yeah.
And so I'm listening to Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, like I was stuff like that because also I made a transition from an all-white school, and then my parents sent me to CPS.
Oof.
Yeah. So imagine around 5th and 6th grade, you go from private school, you're the 1%, I'm considered the 1%, to hello, how you doing?
Yeah.
Totally different culture.
Yeah.
So yeah, that made a big transition for me.
That's super funny because I have like we'll talk after we finish recording, but I have a similar story. I guess like what are like I think we're all optimistic for the future, at least for the music. And like what is it that like you're like looking for? Like you look at hip hop like where it's been in the past, where it is now. So, I think it's safe to say some things are better, some things are worse.
Right. I agree.
But like where do you want to see the genre move and the culture move in the next 50 years?
I'm kind of a person that has my own expectations, and then I'm also the kind of person to look at what's there and where it's going to project to. And so my own personal opinions may not match what I think is going to happen, but if I was to try to find an answer that blends both of it together, I do see a possibility that hopefully music from all genres kind of blend into one. And where it's almost you can't just say hip hop. When it gets to a point where it's hard to define hip hop because people will have arguments, conversation. Oh no, that's rock. Oh no, that's jazz. Because you look at people like Sminu, they're and Masingo. There's people that they have like jazz in their
Yeah.
music, and then you have people like Lil Uzi. It's like rock in it, or soul, or like Post Malone. This
Yeah.
rock hip
Post
hop,
Malone,
right?
even like fucking, not to even mention the decades of R&B influence,
Exactly.
which is like, sometimes I feel like we can forget that those are two really distinct separate genres. R&B
Exactly.
predates rock and roll. Like,
That's a really good point. And what you saying that, I mean, with it being crazy being 50 years of hip hop, I haven't really heard people mention Sylvia Robinson very much.
ooh,
Um, she's the godmother of hip hop.
no,
A lot of people give her credit for being the one to put hip hop on records.
yeah,
Before that, it was mostly R&B and soulful music.
yeah, because hip hop was like
So
something you experienced.
exactly, it was house parties. You experience it. She was the one kind of first kind of put it on records, but she didn't come from hip hop. She came from R&B and soul and different things like that. So I'm hoping we have another transition of something like that happens in the future, where someone that's a part of one category can see another category and try to mix it together. So that's my vision. That's what I hope, is that we
Wow.
almost get to the point we eliminate categories and it's just music.
I
That's what
think
I hope.
that's a reoccurring theme, and I'm right there with you. Because like,
Yeah.
even like, yeah, because like broadly, because you think of like how hip hop has been marginalized when you talk about mainstream music. How people
Mhm.
are, there's definitely people who take it too seriously, but there's also people who like completely dismiss it.
Oh, of course.
And even like within the genre, I hope that we can take and match stuff from like different parts of the genre and not be so segmented. I'd love to see like something that's like boom bap and high energy. I'd like to see
Exactly.
something that had like the rage sound but had lyrics. Like,
Right. Like the
I'd like,
Jay-Z and Linkin Park CD
yeah,
they did
exactly.
together a long time ago.
Second time that album has come up in these interviews.
I mean, it's a good example.
it's
That's
a I think it's the crossover king of our generation.
oh yeah, definitely. So that's what I hope for. Um, I see the both sides of things. What I what I kind of see what I think might happen, I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I kind of have a feeling that there's going to be this huge gap. Um, I come from a world that fell in the middle of generations, and I see it happening again. Especially like I don't know if you saw like the most recent XSL freestyle.
No, I have not
And
yet.
I wasn't going to because I feel like I haven't really seen a good one since like maybe 2015, 2016.
2016, yeah.
And so
And there's
I
some
just
decent, there's some, maybe more than any other year. There are like some like people who have yet to put out a first album that are
yeah.
really good. Me and Purvis always talk about BLP Kosher, about how he should not be as good as he is. Ice Spice. I'm a big fan of that Mexican OT. Like, there's a lot
See,
of like freshmen that are like good, but it just seems
they
like
don't
some of
get the
these
recognition
institutions.
they deserve. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of artists that don't get it deserve. And when I had saw the recent one, me being someone that loves hip hop, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
A little disappointed. And so I'm like, am I this old guy now? Where I fall to the category was like all these new kids are listening to it, but I don't like it. And so I'm
Yeah.
hoping that's not the case. But I'm a coach, and the kids on my team, we enjoy listening to music during practice, and we laugh and talk about music. And for the most part, They know stuff I know because of their parents, and there's stuff I know just trying to keep up. But there's always gonna be a couple songs I'm like, "Yo, you guys really listen to that?" So I'm hoping my dream that we get to the point where categories are no longer existent is more where it's going to than the negative part that I just brought up.
All right, my friend. Thank you for coming and speaking to us. We are so happy to have you.
No problem.
And we know you'll be on the show sooner rather than later. Probably next week to talk about this concert.
Oh yeah.
So this one,
take us to our anthem.
dude, this was one that, like, when it popped into my mind, I'm like, locked.
Instant.
This is it.
Locked.
This is the most iconic. I think maybe one of the most iconic rap songs released in my life. A Millie by Lil Wayne. A Millie, dude. What is? Point to me the weak part on that song.
Nothing. It's tougher than Nigerian hair.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know. This is why I fucking hated that lyric thing, because it's like, how do you pick from this song? Like,
I'm a venereal disease.
Yeah,
like
it's
a
like
monster
my
bleed. There, I
favorite
just did it for
lyric
you.
is a millionaire. I'm a
thing?
young money millionaire. Tougher. The whole thing, like
whole
sister, brother,
thing?
son, daughter, father, motherfucker, copper, got the Maserati dancing. It's
The
like
man's a genius.
he just did this. He just said all these things. And like, here's the thing, right? Like, hip
What's
hop,
wrong with him?
and like,
Wrong with him.
and the thing is that it sounds so effortless, and yet
Yeah,
there
that's
is
the thing.
no way that this isn't like. I know he's not like a big writer. I know he doesn't write down a lot of his lyrics, but like the thought is insane. It's
It was when he was still in his prime.
He isn't.
this was his prime. The Carter 3, I think, was his prime. It was,
Carter 3 was a monster.
was the best, one of the best albums of the 2010s or
What's
the
it doing to a
2000s.
goblin?
Yeah, a million here, a million there.
Look at that the lyrics. Although some of it didn't age as well.
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, but like you gotta do it.
Said,
Yeah, there's
that's bullshit. Call him Dennis Rodman. I said, come on, bro.
call me what you want, bitch. Call me, I'm a sidekick. Like,
Wait. That's
never
crazy.
answer when it's
Like,
private.
you
Damn,
thought
I
about
hate
that
a
bar.
shy
That's
bitch.
crazy. Oh my God. Dennis Rodman was literally a sidekick. We got to move on. I can't break down
No,
these
yeah, dude.
lyrics. I can't do
I think this is an obvious one. I think this is
Yeah.
this is the
I
this is
can't
the
do it.
layup on my list. A Millie, Lil Wayne.
That's a whole episode on its own.
If aliens came to Earth and demanded to know what hip hop was, and you played this for them, they would start seizing.
We would win. We would win.
Yeah.
Like
We
Yeah.
would win the war.
a million.
Or it's like, who would win, an advanced alien race capable of visiting us through light speed, or like a loudspeaker playing NBA YoungBoy?
I'm putting my money on the loudspeaker.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God.
Moving on, I
Yeah.
think this is just as big as a classic in its time period, but it's much more laid back. It's just the cool persona that I try to image in my life. It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube.
So good.
Everything about this song and the music video just gives you West Coast vibes and just chilling and going through an average
so good.
gay
It looks
young man just
Yeah.
chilling.
It looks
Nothing
like a
but
deleted
good vibes.
scene. It looks like a deleted scene from Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
Like it's exactly the vibe.
Dude, he
It
didn't
is
even have
just
to use his
still-
AK.
No, it was a
Didn't
good
even
day.
have to use his AK.
Dude, it was
Do
a
you
good
know
day.
how blessed you got? No, let me stop.
As the warrior poet Ice Cube once said, if the day does not require an AK, then it is good.
It's a good day. I mean, and that's the other thing. Speaking of what you just said, Ice Cube one of the best writers ever.
All time.
Ever.
All time. Yeah,
Ever.
all time. Yeah.
So I had to throw it in there.
He's kind of doing a Kanye right now, but yeah, no, one of the best writers
Yeah,
of all
he's-
time.
Yeah.
This song, like his solo career, crazy. America's Most Wanted, insane. That guy, like we talk about East Coast, West Coast. Ice Cube's like left NWA, found the Bomb Squad, like the best East Coast production team, and just fucking destroyed it. Right?
Yep.
On the dude, his run through the '90s, legendary. And so far the only person who has a second appearance on this list, and the only person who is going to have a second appearance on this list.
That's true.
You know, so hip hop is
well-
Ice Cube. Like,
Well, my next pick might have something
Well,
to say about that.
Jasper, walk me through some other West
Yeah,
Coast.
no, because this is another West Coast song. Please,
Great
Jasper,
pick.
break down
Did
this
you-
smooth shit before I scare the hose.
Did you know that there are young people alive today who don't know that Snoop Dogg was a rapper or that he was ever on trial for murder?
Yeah, we
like,
should put them on. We
crazy.
should put them in camps.
All right.
Oof. Pause. Anyway, Snoop Dogg is my next pick. Gin and Juice, certified classic.
Oh, man.
Did you make
Absolutely.
Isaac leave? I was
Yeah.
gonna say never mind.
I started to.
Put him in- Also, but yes, fully agree. This is the capital West Coast vibes.
No, this
Yeah.
is
So the rest of my picks are all very much in the lane of like progressive focus on issues in communities, culture, music at large. But sometimes you just gotta lay back, sip it on gin and juice,
damn.
right? So something that is emblematic of that kind of West Coast sound that we talked about with Dre, and then by one of the greatest solo West Coast rappers, but also one of the greatest feature artists of the 90s and the 2000s.
True.
I mean,
Did a deep dive on him.
what hasn't Snoop Dogg had his hands in across like the last 20 years? What do you musically when you
Movies,
think about it?
music, comedy,
Yeah.
media,
Everything.
He co-hosts the Puppy Bowl for the Super Bowl, where they give away they do the charity dog event.
Hey, all I gotta
It's
say
insane.
is he don't miss.
He's
He
the
doesn't
he's
miss.
a he's the
Even the controversy.
He's a
doesn't-
playable character in Call of Duty.
he's
He
a,
literally is a playable character.
he's
in
a-
Call of Duty.
he's the only host without a felon on that Martha Stewart show.
Yeah, right. It's wild.
Martha Stewart has been in jail and he hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean,
love how they're like best friends. Like
Yeah, it's really
Right.
great.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
and like but it is like I think there is like a gravity to Ice Cube that I think even people who appreciate him and even people who remember like old not Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg. Like old Snoop Dogg. Because like this week I re-listened to Pimp a Butterfly.
Mhm.
And like he has it's a surprise. And he has like a feature on it and like there's a gravity there because like you're like holy shit this is Snoop Dogg, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
do features like that, like
Not often.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's like
and
like
and
yeah,
what
like
he does.
yeah,
I mean, man.
yeah.
Like,
And I do think there was an era where he was very hit or miss, like right before the Snoop Lion thing, but
Yeah.
like nowadays, like the gravity of it, and I hope that Snoop Dogg is a defining figure in the next 50 years because he bought Death Row.
Yeah.
He is just so well respected. That's another thing. Like we talked about, like, oh, everybody loves Mac Miller. Yes, don't get me wrong. Yes,
Everyone in
But
our generation,
no one's going to not
everyone,
like Snoop.
my folks like Snoop Dogg.
Everyone.
My
That's
folks
what
love
I'm-
saying like, "Hey,
every
did you know Snoop
generation.
Dogg's the one that doesn't have a felony?" Like,
That's uncle. That's
That's
uncle.
literally
Yeah.
that's Uncle Snoop.
And-
He putting
and-
everyone on. We all eat.
And you look at just all the things he's touched. You mentioned America's Most Wanted. Another song that almost made this list for me is two of America's Most Wanted with Tupac, because that
Yeah.
song is a force. It just
Yeah.
has that constant momentum. It's unbelievable. I mean, look at the next episode. Like, this is a certified classic, right? He's got so many of these classics under his belt that he's either featured on or just had like a key role in some way. It's just like there's too many to count in a sense. And so this is the one that made the list just because it's like it takes me out of that very intense vibe and gives it a little bit of breathing room in that way. But I think it's still certified, immortal song.
yeah,
I agree. I fully agree.
I fully agree.
All right, Brandon, let's scare the hoes. So we both gave a relaxing song. What is
Yeah.
your song?
This is not a relaxing song. Okay, so when we were talking about like hip hop moments that like just like jumped out at us, like one of the ones that like I've talked about at length on this show, Purvis shared it with me, was the drop of Run the Jewels 4. Like during the 2020 uprisings, it was insane. Like it was an insane album for an insane time, right? And Run the Jewels is really close to my heart. And if there's one like pick where it was like, no, I'm just gonna pick someone I really like for this one, it's this one. And the reason I did it is one, the feature. This features one of the greatest females MCs of all time, Gangster Boo from 3-6 Mafia. You know, she only does the hook, so it's not like she gets a full-fledged verse, but she does have a verse on Run the Jewels too. That's incredible. And the sample-based production, I think, is insane. You know, it's incredibly left field, incredibly weird, But mostly like I like songs that have like a message and like a point to it. And I will argue to the day I die. I don't care how new it is. Killer Mike's verse on this song is the greatest verse in hip hop history. Like, dude, there are too many like iconic lines, like incredible lines in this. Like, the way I see it, you're probably freest from the ages 1 to 4. Around the age of 5, you're shipped away for your body to be stored. And every day on the evening news, they feed you fear for free. And you so numb, you watch the cops choke out a man like me until his voice goes from a shriek to whisper, I can't breathe. And you sit there in your house and couch and watch it on TV. The most you get's a Twitter rant calling it a tragedy. This was written in 2019. Like,
that is hard.
yeah, like the end of it is like, Dick Gregory told me a couple of secrets before he laid down in his grave. All of us serve the same masters. All of us nothing but slaves. Never forgetting the story of Jesus, the hero, was killed by the state. Like, this is you guys don't even have the incredible like S-tier LP production behind it. Who is also gives like one of the best hip hop, like one of the best verses of that year on this song, and just gets completely like overshadowed. Right? It is like
that's heavy.
Like to come out at that time with that subject matter, I think like this song represents the prescience of hip hop when it comes to social issues better than any song in the like better than
why
Fuck
we
the
make hip hop.
Yeah, this is why we make it. Yeah, this is why we do it. I think this was a layup, you know, like Jasper, if you haven't heard this song, please listen to it.
I've heard it before. Yeah.
It's a good one.
All right. It's also fun to put on when you're in Chicago and walking in the snow. Like,
just want to burn some stuff down.
I just want to burn some stuff down sometimes.
Okay. Let's take it home.
Yeah,
The
last round
song for us. This was challenging. The first 4 I had locked in actually pretty early. This was tough because I was deciding between a couple different songs. I didn't know if I want to go personal or not. But I think this, along with my last song, It Was a Good Day, these are just some smooth
This
tracks.
is objectively in the top 5 hip hop songs of all time.
It's a great song. Can I Kick It by A Tribe Called Quest. Not only is that group iconic, this song specifically,
that
like,
groove, the open, dude, fucking
like,
forget about it. Like,
you telling me this is gonna be me at 60 on the porch with a cigar? This is what I'm gonna listen to and show my grandchildren. This is just, it's an iconic song, an iconic group. I cannot praise it enough. It's such a good song.
They were here last weekend with Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
My buddy went to the concert.
I should have went
I
just
should-
to hear this.
DJ
God,
Jazzy Jeff.
I would have. I think if I had like the chance to go back in time and see a hip hop artist, I think seeing Tribe Called Quest with Phife Dawg would have been.
I'm not gonna lie. If I'm going back to an artist, the first is Michael Jackson, and then it will be this.
Yeah,
I hate that I
fair.
didn't live through Michael Jackson.
No, that's fair.
It
That's
is my
fair.
biggest regret.
That's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally
But
fair.
anyway, moving on.
Moving on,
Jasper.
Jasper. This is one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time.
It is.
This truly is. Like, whenever people, this is an artist that I think gets like talked down to, maybe deservedly, a lot nowadays. But like, if there's ever an argument that this person belongs in the halls of hip hop, it is this.
Yeah, I don't know if it's deservedly. I think that people don't like the fact they liked it at a time just because of,
That's like,
changing tastes. But
that's what I like about FD Singifier is because like whenever he talks about hip hop, he keeps it 100 about Eminem. Like
Yeah.
he had a very controversial take where he was going through like the top 10 rappers of all time, and he put Eminem above Biggie, and Biggie was 8 and like Eminem was 7, and he's like Eminem top 10, not top 5.
Yeah.
Better than Biggie.
Yeah.
Like, and he was just like, no, you guys weren't there. Like, everyone likes to retcon it, but Eminem was that dude. Like, people, like, black people fucked with Eminem back then. Like,
it was a moment.
Yes, it brought a lot of people into hip hop who like normally weren't there, and maybe the reasons they weren't there weren't very good. But undeniably, he has moved through this culture as a white person, kind of better than anyone else, save maybe Mac Miller and LP.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Dre said, signed Eminem, he's doing 50 a week. The song is Stan, obviously. I mean, another anthem for better or for worse, I guess, but I think this is another song that has actually aged really well in the context of what it represents. Not so much the subject matter. Obviously, it's 2001, so it's going to carry all of the shock value and the intensity and a lot of the kind of uglier motifs that come with this album, and also just like what it kind of represented at the time. But I think that this album or this song really touches on something that's become very popular as like kind of a buzzword, but also people are more more cognizant of it now, that being like parasocial relationships with artists, media personalities, entertainers. And basically this song put that idea out there in the form of a dialogue between a fan and the artist, which to me is insane. Like this is just such a
That's
creative,
insane, hot take.
and out of the box like way of presenting this, and to do it entirely with the sound of the letter being written in the background mixed in with Dido providing the fucking chorus.
The hook is
and
crazy.
Then, yeah, it's unbelievable. And then on top of all of this, you have this kind of escalation throughout. You have the steady instrumentation. You have the bass that climbs up and goes down. Bum, 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 bum. It just does the same thing over and over. The only thing that's creating this escalation is the vocal performance that Eminem is giving as Stan. We even have a verb for this now. I stan.
Yeah.
That comes from this.
Like,
that's where it comes from. Yeah, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
This song, the impact of this song.
Crazy that people hear this song and think I should call myself that. Like,
yeah, my tea's gone cold. I'm wondering why. Like, dude,
social media doesn't make sense.
This song is just an absolute force, and I think that it really has aged just as well as a lot of these other tracks, but I don't think it gets the love it deserves anymore, and I think it should.
I don't know quite about that one. I feel like people.
Well, I think with the whole retcon of Eminem,
yeah,
the song and this album has devalued a little bit, which I don't think is deserved.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
I was gonna say you could have named a lot of Eminem songs.
There's plenty of Eminem songs that could have gone on this list. This,
sure.
I think like the Coward would have put "Lose Yourself," which is a great song. But like this is
first ever rap song to win an Oscar. That's pretty cool.
Wasn't it 3 6 Mafia?
What?
3 6 Mafia won an Oscar, I think, first for Hustle and Flow.
Somebody look it up.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this was first.
Let me look it up. 8 Mile.
But an Oscar, like specifically an Oscar though. That's
he won an Oscar. I remember because everyone was joking that 3 6 Mafia won an Oscar before Martin Scorsese.
I just researched.
Oh no! Hustle and Flow came out 3 years later. No, that's
because this was 2003 for 8 Mile.
Yeah, no, that was 2006. Okay, so
fucking Eminem.
Eminem. But Lose Yourself deserves it though. Lose Yourself's incredible. Like
it is, yeah. And it gave us so many good memes.
Yeah, but I think this song and also Till I Collapse are probably like
Till I Collapse is up there.
Like probably
Eminem Show underrated. That album is good.
No. All right, I'll close us out because, like, look, we talked about bars. We talked about having a political perspective. We talked about, like, having it all together. And this song, I think, just does it all at once. It's like an easy listening experience. It has a point, like a really specific point to it. But it also, like, you could just put it on in the car. You could just put it on while you're gaming, and it just works. I'm picking Neighbors by J. Cole.
I love that you added this.
Yeah, dude, Neighbors by J. Cole. Like, I'm not even the biggest fan of this album. I think it's by far J. Cole's weakest album. But this song, I think, just threads so many needles. It has like a deep like point about like how like the perception of black people in white spaces. But then it has just like the greatest hook of all time, basically. The neighbors think I'm selling dope.
Bro, the sample is his own song reversed.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Who thinks of that?
Yeah, and like
I'll tell you who. Electric Light Orchestra. Look them up.
Yeah. No, look, J. Cole is like right there with Kendrick in terms of like carrying the flame for hip hop, as well as like I think the thing he does better than Kendrick is like bridge with younger audiences, like with younger like creators.
He is literally the middle child.
Kendrick had to get his cousin into the game to do that. Like
He had to get Baby
And
King to be silly.
all it took was 150 grams of protein.
Literally.
Too much
to be
protein.
silly. Otherwise, J. Cole is literally the middle child.
When you think
Yeah,
about
he's literally
J. Cole, low key. Shout out to my wife. She's the one that said it. J. Cole's the first artist that kind of made it okay for real hard dudes to express their feelings with wet dreams.
yeah.
No rapper really said, "Hey, I'm gonna rap about some vulnerable stuff."
Yeah, like right,
and
and
they say it's okay.
and like
I have
it's
one
the
pushback.
what
Drake.
Drake was made fun of though. That's the thing though. People never clowned on J. Cole.
Right.
People clowned on Drake.
Brought up Drake. Liz said it. Liz like
people clown on J. Cole's fans.
Yeah.
They clown him for being the soft.
Okay, that's true.
And even Kid Cudi got like a little bit of
hard.
it. Yeah.
He said, "Okay, this nigga spitting." Okay.
Yeah, like J. Cole never got that kind of pushback. If anything, like he's another rapper with a huge female fan base.
Yes.
But he never had like, not like that kind of vibe where like he was like laughed at by the more serious aspects of the culture. Like
anything,
Drake got that really bad, like way undeservedly. And Kid Cudi got that a little, and that was undeserved because Kid Cudi's great. But like J. Cole didn't get that at all. And like, yeah,
J. Cole fans was made fun of for playing chess. Like that, it's a difference.
Dude, when Jasper said they're playing chess in the Kendrick mosh pits, Rachel almost choked on her spit. She was like, "That's the funniest shit I've ever heard."
Dude, I got Rachel twice. I got Rachel with that, and then the other time was when Kendrick was about to come out, and the DJ was like, "Y'all ready for Kendrick Lamar?" And I did the Lil Jon scream.
Yeah, that got her.
I saw her turn to you with her eyes wide as fuck.
Yeah.
That shit was so funny.
So, yeah, dude. So it was just, I think we picked 15 stellar songs. We got to put this in a playlist.
We picked some good songs.
Purvis, put this in a playlist.
I will make this into a playlist.
Guys,
we're not giving recommended songs.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, are we giving recommendations? We just
nothing can follow this. Nothing can follow this.
I have a belly song in my notes. Like, I can't do this. Go ahead.
I do want to say this. I'm not going to jump in. I just want to name 5 artists that I think deserve respect. I'm not going to give a song.
Do it rapid fire.
5 artists. Missy Elliott.
Okay. Oh, 100% agreed.
I was going to put Work It.
Cameron.
Yep.
Okay.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I don't have the experience.
Yeah, I just never went at Jay-Z face.
You just mentioned him, Lil Jon.
Yeah.
And Busta Rhymes.
Yeah, all of those deserve some
I'll
time.
just say that because I'm a little bit older and I lived through their music. Those 5 deserve respect.
And there was one song that me and Purvis like isolated, and we're like, we can't possibly have this for us. No, it was Lupe.
Oh yes.
So I see like if there's gonna be a song that I think like should start off our playlist as like the unpaid nobody's collectively. It was Lupe Fiasco's "Hip Hop Saved My Life," right?
Classic,
dude, I saw him live in the rain, and I cried during that song. Like it was low key. Like that's another one of my top 5 best concert experiences.
I put it in the doc as the main overview song, and I was like, no, let me delete it.
No, I thought that was genius. That's like I would say that's like our 6th man, like as a group.
That's Hip Hop Saved My Life. We're gonna end with that. We're gonna end with Hip Hop Saved My Life.
Perfect. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this birthday party for a genre of music.
Happy hip hop.
It's a celebration, bitches.
It's a celebration.
You know what this shit is.